This past Tuesday, in a world, in a year that has been filled with numerous close to home deaths in the world of sports and pop culture, this past Tuesday, the sports world lost not one, but two iconic coaches. One who revolutionized women's sports forever. The other, a defensive guru that served as the architect of one of the greatest defensive units of all time. This past Tuesday, we lost Pat Summitt and Buddy Ryan. Hello, friends, and welcome to this special Friday night edition of the Wrestling Forum. I am Anthony Florio. Out of respect for these deaths, we are not going to use our doppelganger names tonight. I think it's only fitting. You know how we do that here. I mean, here we go again. More close to home deaths. I mean, it's not going to end, folks. It's never going to end. And this year, I have never seen a year where close to home deaths was. I mean, it's like we can't go a whole week without one close to home death. I mean, since this year started, I mean that's all it's been. It's been nothing but close to home deaths. And the woman you see in my screen share there, Pat Summitt. We're gonna pay tribute to her first, and then we're gonna pay our respects to Buddy Ryan, and then we will get into all the other topics that we had planned on getting into on this special edition of the Wrestling Forum. Derek Ferrera will be joining us in a moment. He had to restart his computer, obviously probably because of updates or something, my guess is. So Derek will be back with us in just a matter of moments. So we were just waiting on Michael Fletcher to join us, and we got him. We got everybody here. Michael Fletcher's here. We got Michael Bullock. We got D.B. Woodson. And we also have Derek Ferrera, and he's going to be joining us very shortly. And we're going to pay our respects to Pat Summitt, as well as Buddy Ryan, and then a whole myriad of topics that we're going to get into here on this special edition of the Wrestling Forum. So, we're going to talk about Roman Reigns, if Roman Reigns should still be allowed to compete in the main event at Battleground, if despite his suspension. So we'll see how that goes. We'll talk about a possibility of WWE maybe bringing back the Divas Championship once the brand extension starts in a few weeks. And of course, we'll also have my Tony's take, as I will review Impact Wrestling and Thursday Night SmackDown for this week. And I want to let you folks know, when I get into SmackDown, you're not going to believe what I have to say about it. So I'm just going to, give you a forewarning right there. And then we'll also have the Mikey's Mindset. We'll have Michael Fletcher do his Mikey's Mindset. We'll have him get into the latest Lucha Underground, because we got some very big shows coming up in Lucha Underground, the very big event. And I know Michael Fletcher is going to be giving us all the information on that. Not sure if he has any ROH news or if he has any RWA stuff, but nonetheless, there will be a Mikey's Mindset on this show here tonight. And then in the main event, Derek Ferrera is going to be in our main event tonight. Derek Ferrera is going to close us out with his independent scene. He's got a lot of news to get into when it comes to the independent scenes. And then at the end of the show, we got some future content we're going to get into. And let me tell you, the future content, especially when it comes to the strictly sports side of things. I mean, Derek and Fletch had a Facebook chat, a comment chat on the Facebook this afternoon, which I stumbled upon. And from what I read, we got some very exciting stuff. And Derek's also going to give you some news about a brand new segment that we're going to debut on Strictly Sports in a few weeks. So really looking forward to that. So that's the docket for tonight. So with all that being said, let's dive right in. And we're going to start with the first of our two tributes here. You see the woman on my screen. Pioneer in women's sports. I would consider her the greatest women's coach of all time. You can make the argument for Gino Auriemma and what he's done for the University of Connecticut, but Pat Summitt, who we lost this past Tuesday at the age of 64. the complications, obviously, from the onset dementia that she was diagnosed with back in 2011, and which caused her to retire from coaching University of Tennessee. And her resume reads like a who's who. I mean, let me tell you that right now. I mean, she was born on June 14th of 1952 in Clarksville, Tennessee, and just 2 weeks after her 64th birthday, and she passes away. And she was a player at Tennessee Martin from 1970 to 74, and then in 1974 she became the head coach of the University of Tennessee, where she amassed a record of 1,098 wins, only 208 losses, a win percentage of .841, 8 national championships in 1987, 1989, 1991, 3 in a row from 96, 97, and 98, and then won 2 more in 2007, and then her last one came in 2008. 16 SEC regular season championships, 16 SEC tournament championships, 8-time SEC Coach of the Year, 7-time NCAA Coach of the Year, Naismith Coach of the 20th Century, awarded the prestigious Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2012 by President Obama, and then in the year 2000 was inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts, as you know. So that's that. And like I said, the resume reads like a who's who when you think about what she accomplished in her illustrious career. I mean, 8 national championships. I mean, just amazing. But it was in August of 2011, she announced that she had been diagnosed 3 months earlier with early onset Alzheimer's disease. Despite the diagnosis, she got through the 2011-2012 season, but with a reduced role, while her assistant, Holly Warlick, who's been an assistant with her since 1985, assumed most of the coaching responsibilities. In an interview with GoVolsExtra.com, she stated, "There's not going to be any pity party, and I'll make sure of that." After the season, which ended with the Lady Vols losing to the eventual unbeaten national champion Baylor Lady Bears in the Elite Eight in Des Moines on April 18th, 2012, Summitt officially stepped down as head coach, ending her 38-year coaching career. Warlick was eventually named her successor. In a statement accompanying her resignation, Summitt said, "I feel like Holly's been doing the bulk of it. She deserves to be the head coach." Excuse me. Summitt was given the title head coach emeritus upon her resignation. According to NCAA regulations, as head coach emeritus, she was able to attend practices and assist Warlick in some duties, but was not allowed to sit on the team bench. She finished her coaching career with 1,098 wins in 1,306 games coached in AIAW and NCAA Division I play, and then passed away this past Tuesday at a senior living facility in Knoxville. She was widely reckoned as one of the toughest coaches in college basketball history, men's or women's. She was best known for giving her players an icy stare in response to poor play, but claimed that she mellowed considerably later in her career. In 2007, Summitt told U.S. News and World Report that she didn't yell at her players nearly as much as she had earlier in her career. On at least 2 occasions, Tennessee asked Summitt to consider coaching the men's team, once before 1997 and again in 2001. And she was also a player, like I said, and she was named to the women's basketball team that was invited to compete at the 1975 Pan American Games. The team was coached by future Hall of Fame coach Kathy Rush. Players include Lucia Harris, Nancy Lieberman-Klein, as you all know, or just plain Nancy Lieberman nowadays, Ann Myers, and Julian Simpson. After winning the gold medal in 1963, the U.S. team lost to Brazil in both 67 and 71, and had recently competed in the 75 World Championship, finishing in 8th. Opening game was against host country Mexico, which had finished ahead of the USA team at the World Championships. This time the USA was victorious, winning 99-65. USA would go on to win its next 5 games, all but one by a double-digit margin, and that set up the gold medal game against Brazil, which the U.S. team won convincingly 74-55. was named the head coach of the USA representative to the William Jones Cup competition in Taipei, Taiwan. U.S. team had recently completed the World Championship, so was able to bypass the preliminary rounds. Team won all 6 contests and the gold medal. 4 USA players were named to the 12-player all-tournament team. And then Summit was chosen as the head coach of the team representing the USA in 1984 at the William Jones Cup competition in Taiwan. The team chosen to represent the U.S. was the team expected to be selected as the national team for the '84 Olympic Games. Resulted in a very strong team which was able to dominate the competition. In the opening game against Australia, U.S. won 82-20, while other games were closer. Italy's 23-point loss to the U.S. was the closest of the 8 games. U.S. won all 8 games and the gold medal with 3 players, while 3 players were named to the all-tournament team. So, I already ran it down, all the SEC championships and Coach of the Year honors and everything else. I mean, there are other honors. 1983, Russell Athletic, WBCA National Coach of the Year. In 1990, inducted into the International Women's Sports Hall of Fame as a coach. The first year, coaches were honored. And then won that Russell Athletic WBCA Coach of the Year award again, 2 more times in 1995 and 1998. Also in 98 was named the AP College Basketball Coach of the Year. Inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame as a member of the inaugural class in 1999. Inducted into the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame in the year 2000. Named the Naismith Basketball Coach of the Century in the year 2000. Named in 2008 was named the best coach / she won the prestigious named best coach / manager ESPY award. Encompasses all sports, college and professional. 2009 named the Sporting News list of the 50 greatest coaches of all time, including the 4 major pro sports in college football and basketball, listed in position number 11. In 2011, named Sports Illustrated Sportswoman of the Year on December 6, 2011 in New York City. Shared the honor with Duke men's basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski. Inducted into the Tennessee Women's Hall of Fame in the year 2011. Awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, we got into that, in 2012. Also in 2012, Now this ESPY award, of course, is prestigious, maybe the most prestigious of them all. The Arthur Ashe Courage Award, and then was inducted into the FIBA Hall of Fame June 19th of 2013. Summit, the only person to have 2 courts used by NCAA Division I basketball teams named in her honor. Pat Head Summit Court at the University of Tennessee at Martin, and the Summit at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. Also has 2 streets named after her. Pat Head Summit Street on the University of Tennessee campus, and Pat Head Summit Avenue on the University of Tennessee at Martin campus, which she was a player, like I said, from 70 to 74. And also 8 national championships, which is second all-time behind the 11 that Gino Auriemma won at UConn. Most seasons coached without a losing record, 38. Lost more than 9 games in a season only 7 times, and had more than 10 games in a season only twice. Most consecutive postseason appearances, 38. Never missed a tournament. Most number 1 seeds in NCAA Division I tournament history with 21. Most wins as a Division I basketball coach with 1,098. Trailing her is Mike Krzyzewski with 1,040. Most wins in NCAA tournament history, 112. Most Final Four appearances, 18, which is 6 more than John Wooden, who holds the men's record. Most championship game appearances, 15. Most 20-win seasons in history, 36, all consecutive seasons. Second in 30-win seasons with 20, behind Gino Auriemma's 21. Third all-time in winning percentage, 841. Gino Auriemma, 873, and Leon Barmore out of Louisiana Tech, 869. 45 foreign players have become coaches, and here comes the most. Every Lady Vol player who completed her eligibility at Tennessee under Summit played in at least one Elite Eight. But this is one stat, and to my panelists here, and to all you friends out there, this I think is the most rewarding stat I'm about to share with you all. A 100% graduation rate. Come on. Tell me that's not praise God worthy. I mean, that's a situation that makes me want to say praise God. I mean, a 100% graduation rate? Wow. That you guys got to get into that in just a moment, but every Lady Vol player who completed her eligibility at Tennessee Under Summit graduated with a degree or is in the process of doing so. 100% graduation rate. Unreal. I mean, and so many of her former players are now either head coaches or assistant coaches or hold like special honors and whatnot. But I mean, it just reads like a who's who. I mean, never had a losing record, a winning record every year. I mean, and that's it. So, what else is there to say except she also won a silver medal with the World University Games in 1973, gold medal in the Pan Ams in '75, a silver medal in the '76 Olympics in Montreal. This was as a player, as a coach. 4 gold medals, 2 silver medals, 4 gold medals, one in the William Jones Cup in '84, the '84 Olympics in LA, obviously. '79 FIBA World Championship for women in the '79 William Jones Cup, 2 silvers, one in '79 in San Juan, the Pan American Games, and then '83 in Sao Paulo, Brazil, as part of the FIBA World Championships. So, just absolutely mind-boggling when you think of everything this woman has done in the world of women's sports, a true pioneer, and she is someone who is certainly going to be missed. And when you think about women's college basketball, I mean, there are so many great coaches. I mean, Pat Summitt's not the only one. I mean, obviously Gino Auriemma. I mean, you also have to consider Jody Conrad. You also have to consider Tara Vanderveer. Tara Vanderveer at Stanford, Jody Conrad, what he did at the University of Texas. I mean, Leon Barmore, like I said, what he did at Louisiana Tech. Sylvia Hatchell, University of North Carolina. Kim Mulkey, the head coach of the Baylor women. And, I could go on and on about all these legendary women's college basketball coaches. Of course, Kay Yow. We can't forget about another late great, Kay Yow, NC State, who we lost a few years back after her ongoing battle with breast cancer. I mean, those are the names that you can't help but. I mean, whenever anybody asks me about women's college basketball, I just read you that laundry list of names. Those are the names that I grew up watching and the names that I know. But of course, the most recognizable, other than Gino Auriemma, would have to be Pat Summitt, if not the most recognizable of them all. Transcended women's sports, like I said, and a trailblazer, a pioneer, and I know none of us ever got to have the honor of meeting Pat Summitt, but if we ever did, it would most certainly be one of the most worthwhile experiences you will ever have. I mean, if I ever got the chance to meet her, I would have just told her right to her face. I would have said, "I am grateful for all that you've done for women's sports and just in plain sports altogether. I mean, you transcended the game. You made us all proud, and you're someone who's always going to be remembered." And on behalf of all of us here at Strictly Sports, we want to send our deepest thoughts and our deepest prayers and condolences to the family, friends, players, colleagues, what have you, of Pat Summitt, and most notably her son Tyler, who, as we all know, her son Tyler, obviously, well documented. He's always been mentioned. We know the very close. We know the mother-son bond those two had, and they were inseparable. And I can only imagine what that young man's going through right now. So as we always like to say, to Pat Summitt, on behalf of all of us here, thank you for the memories, thank you for the inspiration, and thank you for Pat Summitt. For both of our death tributes tonight, I'm going to make it an open forum. So we're not going to go in any particular order. I don't think that's necessary in this case. So anybody, whoever wants to come in next and pay your respects to Pat Summitt, open forum. Anybody, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll actually take it.
Fair enough, Bullet.
Yeah. Yes. Hello, friends. Mike Bullock here for, of course, for an all-new edition of the Wrestling Forum. But of course, talking about I mean, remembering the great Pat Summitt, and she was definitely a pioneer for women's sports. I mean, what can you say? I mean, you basically mentioned it all. I mean, just all the accomplishments. I mean, like you said, she was a player at the University of Tennessee, Martin. Then, I mean, the University of Tennessee hired her to be their their head coach, and the rest, as they say, was history. And I mean, 8 national championships, like you talked about. But here's the other thing: 16 SEC regular season titles, 16 SEC tournament titles, an 8-time SEC Coach of the Year, a 7-time NCAA Coach of the Year, was the Naismith Coach of the 20th century, I should say. She got the highest honor with that Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2012, like you just mentioned, and of course won a gold medal as the head coach of the USA women's basketball team in 1984. So, I mean, and the players that she's had, and I mean she's had so many really good players: Kara Lawson, Shamiqua Holdsclaw, Candace Parker. I mean, I could go on and on with the list of players that she's had, and the other thing that's impressive: 1,098 wins in her career. That is the most in NCAA basketball history, men's or women's. And the only other coach that has 1,000 wins, Duke head coach Mike Krzyzewski. And here's the other thing that's really impressive: during her tenure there, she never had a losing season as the head coach of the Volunteers, and her team never missed the NCAA tournament. I mean, how many other coaches can say, I mean, in the men's or women's, can say they never had a losing season or never missed an NCAA tournament? Nobody else did. Well, actually, I stand corrected, but when it comes to the 1,000 wins, she's one of 4 college coaches overall to have a 1,000 wins. I did mention Mike Krzyzewski as the other, so yeah. And I mean, 8 national championships, like I said, overall, and only 2 other coaches, men's or women's, have won more national championships than her. Those 2: UCLA men's coach John Wooden with 10 national championships, and of course a coach that she's gone up against so many times, UConn women's basketball coach Gino Auriemma, who has 11 national championships. Yeah, and I mean, and the other thing is, of course, she got the Arthur Ashe Courage Award at the 2012 ESPYs, so that's another thing. I mean, and then of course in 2009, the Sporting News, they placed her at number 11 on its list of the 50 greatest coaches of all time in all sports. I mean, get that. Number 11. I mean, she was definitely a trailblazer for all the women's sports. And then just to hear her being diagnosed with the early onset dementia, which is of course the connected with Alzheimer's disease, and then of course in the days afterwards there were reports out that her health was declining, and that's when I knew that it was only a matter of time before she left us. And then, of course, get the news on June 28th that she passed away at the age of 64, and all I can say is she's in a better place now where she can no longer be hurt, and I mean the whole world definitely mourned her. I mean, even people outside of NCAA women's basketball have poured in their heartfelt condolences, and since we're since this is the wrestling forum, one wrestler actually tweeted their heartfelt condolences, and you want to know who that was? The Nature Boy Ric Flair. Yep, that shows you how much respect he's got for Pat Summitt. I mean, the world definitely has lost a legend, and all of us here at Strictly Sports want to send our thoughts, prayers, and condolences to Pat Summitt, and like you just said, Florio, Pat Summitt, thank you for the memories, and thank you for Pat Summitt for giving us a career that we'll never ever forget. Rest in peace, Pat Summitt. You may be gone, but you will never ever be forgotten, and your legacy will live on forever. We love you, Pat Summitt. Rest in peace and Godspeed. Fletcher, it's yours.
Hey, what's up, everybody? So glad to be here tonight. You know, when we were really talking about, all the news that came out, and especially the tragedy and the untimely death of Pat Summitt, there was one thing that I was thinking about. Revolutionary, pioneerish, and one of the Mount Rushmore type people of the collegiate sport. Let's say that. Because she put women's college basketball on the map. Before Gio Auriemma, it was Pat Summitt. She put SEC women's college basketball on the map with the Tennessee Lady Volunteers, because back in the day, women's college basketball wasn't really that big. It was really an unknown sport because, of course, March Madness was always dedicated to the men. But in the women's game, there was this one school, and it was from Knoxville, Tennessee, the University of Lady Volunteers, Tennessee Lady Volunteers, and they revolutionized, what it was about playing college hoops. And the thing is, she was such an unbelievable individual because of the fact that now that you're hearing a lot of the stories now, she was a real mother figure to a lot of her players. If you ever needed anything, just advice or anything else in life, she was always there for her gals, and she treated them with the utmost respect and everything else. But let me tell you, if you ever got under her skin, she only just needed to give you the look. She didn't yell. She just gave you a look like John Gruden did in the NFL, and you knew you were in the doghouse big time with Pat Summitt. So just the scowl of hers is so iconic and so legendary, but she was such a great coach. And one thing I think you guys, I don't know if you guys got into this, but I'll get into it anyway. Anytime you were with Pat Summitt, she wanted you to succeed in life. But the one biggest testament about her was, out of all of the years she was with her gals, and I think they said it was about 158 of them, they all graduated with college degrees. 158 for 158. A perfection of 100%. Every single one graduated now with college degrees. That's unheard of in college sports. Nowadays, you hear about the one and dones, people that don't stick around. They jump out on their junior or senior year in college. Even now in the new NCAA in the men's game, you're one and done. Do you get out a freshman because you're thinking about the big dollars of the pros in the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, whatever? Not Pat Summitt, and not in college women's basketball. They all were there for the full 4 years, and that's a testament of her and her greatness, her respect, and what she wanted each and every lady to get out of life. She wanted you to live your life to the fullest, but always remember to have something to fall back on, because sometimes basketball is not guaranteed for everyone. She wanted her gals to know that, it was to be, in a way, to be done correctly with the honor, the grace, the amazingness of what she does. And at the end of the day, I truly believe in my heart of hearts, she is the greatest women's college basketball coach of all time, because of the fact of that demeanor, that mentality. And yes, there's going to be that debate about Gio Auriemma and her. Auriemma's won more national championships with 11. Pat Summitt's won 8 national championships. And there'll always be that, comparison, who is really the greatest, 1A to 1B. I believe at the end of the day, Pat Summitt did so much for women's college basketball, and to stay at one school for 38 years. She started out at the age of 22 and did almost 40 years of being a member of that team. There was offers of her going to WNBA when it got created around 2000, 2002. She never left. There was other college positions that she could have gone to. And she was so loyal to Tennessee to stay in that university for 38 years is a testament of the greatness that she is. I mean, we can talk about John Wooden in the same breath. We could talk about Bobby Knight. Well, Bobby Knight, no, we can't say that. But Mike Krzyzewski, let's talk about him. He became a head coach at such a young age, and look what he's done for Duke. It's the same thing with Pat Summitt. What she did for the University of Tennessee, for the Lady Volunteers, has not been equaled or matched since that day. And it's heartbreaking that her life had to come to an end. And it wasn't because of her own terms. Dementia, Alzheimer's disease. They always said that Alzheimer's disease, once you're diagnosed with it, you normally have about between 5 and 15 years of life after that point. Because she was on early stages of dementia. And then it basically escalated very rapidly because she was diagnosed, about 6 years ago? And then this happens. So, my heart breaks for all those people of Tennessee, because she is a true icon, a legend of the game, and she'll truly be missed by not only us 5 here, but college basketball fans around the world. are going to miss her because she was a true pioneer of the women's game. And I think she goes down as, without a doubt, one of the biggest flag bearers of the women's game. So my heart goes out to the entire Summit family. And, I mean, gone but never forgotten. Rest in peace. Thank you, Pat Summit. Whoever wants to take it next, please, the floor is open.
I'll take it. Yeah, so hey everyone, welcome to the show. Great to be back as always. So, heard about this Tuesday morning, right around 7:30, and, you kind of knew, excuse me, you kind of knew that this was going to happen with the news that, Sunday afternoon, you just read the news on ESPN2 that, Pat Summit her condition was really rapidly declining. And the one thing that you kind of remember about Pat Summit, and I say this, is the fact that she was the originator of women's sports. Many people can talk about women's soccer, in the 90s, how they generated, in pop culture and their popularity. Ronda Rousey recently, but Pat Summit. And, I'm glad that you mentioned about the graduation rate because, I've always said that education is always the most important thing in your life. It's not sports. It's always about, trying to succeed because, you're not going to make it in basketball. You're not going to be in the WNBA. And, you have to find life outside of basketball. And, Pat Summit, became a motivator. A successful graduation rate. Nobody dropped out. Nobody decided, hey, I'm going to go to the next level. Yes, there is online classes that you can take. I don't know if University of Tennessee has that. But let's just say for the sake of conversation, there could be online classes and say, you know what? I've already done my commitment to basketball. I want to play in the big leagues, but I still want to pursue my education online. But yeah, 1,098 wins, 8 championships. Of course, you have to say she's the greatest women's basketball coach of all time. People will say Gino Auriemma because of what he did with 11 national championships. And let's not forget, a couple of seasons ago, UConn had the longest winning streak in any professional sports in the women's basketball league in college basketball. So, you're going to have your debates. Pat Summit, Gino, Coach K. And yes, Coach K, he started at a young age. I just recently read a book by John Feinstein where you're talking about the ACC and, how the ACC was so big back in the days in the early 80s with Coach K, Dean Smith, Jimmy V, how, their history. And Coach K, when he started out at Duke, a lot of people wanted him fired because he wasn't really that. Excuse me. I'm just gonna end this briefly and pass it quickly. But Coach K, look what happened. People wanted to see him get fired, and he went from being a dud to being one of the top college basketball coaches in the game right now. You got Bobby Knight. You have so many great names, but Pat Summit definitely is going to be a number one. And obviously, you're not going to see another Pat Summit ever again. Not in this century, maybe in the next century or two, but no way. Pat Summit, legacy, great coach. Without a doubt, one thing that, and this is what I see with the SEC, and you know why I love the SEC. A lot of the coaches in the SEC are passionate. Pat Summitt, the eyes, you know? Will Muschamp, he's done those before. We've seen them all fired up. Steve Spurrier, Nick Saban. Why do they get fired up? Because they're passionate about the game. They're emotional about the game. That's what you want to be when you're a coach. You want to get out there, and I'm not going to say any French on here because this is a PG-rated show. You want to go out there and you want to get your players to bust their necks. That's what Pat Summitt and all those coaches I mentioned did. So, rest in peace, Pat Summitt. There's not going to be another Pat Summitt. Never. Dee Woodson, your take on this.
I don't have too much to say because I really don't follow women's basketball. Sorry, guys.
No worries, Dee Dee Woodson. That's quite all right. But nonetheless, she may be gone, but she certainly will not be forgotten. So, with all that being said, we're going to move on now to our next tribute, and let me pull it up here real fast. We lost another coaching legend, this time in the world of the NFL. Buddy Ryan. He passed away. He actually also passed away on Tuesday as well. So 2 close-to-home deaths in one day. I mean, unreal. Capping off the worst month of deaths I've seen probably since early in the year. I mean, January, April. January, you had David Bowie and Glenn Frey and Natalie Cole and all them who passed. And then, of course, in April with China and Prince. But the month of June had so many close-to-home deaths. I mean, mainly in the world of sports. I mean, Muhammad Ali and Gordie Howe and now with Pat Summitt and obviously with Buddy Ryan and everything in the world, all the turmoil in the world. I mean, but here you go. I mean, Buddy Ryan. I mean, there you see the graphic. 82 years old. I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, he may not have a laundry list resume like Pat Summitt did, but he was 85 years old, and let's run it down. His career, he went to college at Oklahoma State. He was born on February 17th of 1931. Passed away, obviously, on Tuesday, like I said. College at Oklahoma State. He was never a player. He was always a coach. And he first coached in 1961. And ironically, he started with my team, the Buffalo Bills. He served as a defensive line coach from 1961 through 1965. And then from 1968 through 1975, served also as a defensive line coach with the New York Jets. And I never knew this. I mean, I knew he was a Super Bowl coach. I knew he was with, the 85 Bears, which we're going to talk about, obviously. But he actually has a second Super Bowl ring, and that was in Super Bowl III. Super Bowl III. Remember the New York Jets when the New York Jets beat the Baltimore Colts? Greatest upset in the history of the NFL, and quite frankly, that was the game that transcended the NFL as we know it, and that's how the NFL became the multi-billion-dollar conglomerate that it has become for almost 50 years, if not more than that. We'll get into that, obviously. So from 68 to 75, defensive line coach with the New York Jets, Weeb Ewbank, obviously. Minnesota Vikings, he was with the Minnesota Vikings, defensive line coach from 1976 to 1977. Pretty sure that was still during the Bud Grant era. I'm pretty sure Bud Grant was still there. And of course, the position where he was where he became the most prominent defensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears, Matt Ward. Obviously, Matt Ward is smiling. 1978 to 1985, of course, won his second Super Bowl ring, Super Bowl 20. The defensive coordinator, the architect, the Seth Rollins architect, if you will, of what many are calling the greatest defensive unit of all time, the 85 Bears, and that unit, that vicious, punishing unit that Chicago Bears unit was in 1985. The 15-1 team, the team that many felt should have gone undefeated. Fletcher's Dolphins prevented that. in the most infamous Monday Night Football game of all time. And, of course, they won Super Bowl 20, that absolute dud of a game against the New England Patriots. But the Patriot fans would eventually get their last laugh several years later. Got his first head coaching job, of course, with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was their head coach from 1986 to 1990, and then went back to defensive coordinator for the Houston Oilers in 1993, and his final job, head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, back when they were the Phoenix Cardinals, from 1994 through 1995. 2 Super Bowl championships, Super Bowl 3 and 20. His regular season career record, 55, 55, and 1. A 500 record, 0-3 in the postseason, overall record of 55, 58, and 1, percentage of .487. He actually began his coaching career at Gainesville High School in Gainesville, Texas, in 1957 as an assistant under Dub Wooten. When Wooten became head coach at Marshall High School in '59, Ryan was then promoted to head coach at Gainesville. After 1 year, he spent 1 year as high school athletic director in Marshall, Texas. And then in 1961, after completing service in the military, which included playing on the 4th Army Championship team in Japan, Ryan was determined to continue coaching football when he returned and not at the high school ranks. However, with so many great coaches already in Texas, college jobs were hard to find. Carl Spiegel, a former coach of Ryan's, contacted Dick Offenheimer, the then head coach of the Buffalo Bills, the Buffalo Bulls, rather, of the University of Buffalo. Needed a defensive line coach and was also preparing for the program's first season at the Division I level. From 62 to 65, the Bulls' defense ranked among the national leaders, posting 12 shutouts in that span, as well as producing Jerry Philbin. In 1964, Lou Saban, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills of the then AFL, reportedly offered Ryan a similar job with the Bills, but Ryan received a $2,000 raise from UB to stay. In '65, he took a job at Pacific before finishing his college coaching career the following year at Vanderbilt. And then he went to the Jets. Him and Walt Michaels' defensive game plan was instrumental in holding the NFL's Baltimore Colts to 7 points in Super Bowl III and earning Ryan his first Super Bowl ring. Seeing the emphasis that Weeb Ewbank placed on protecting Joe Namath and his fragile knees, Ryan completed multiple blitz packages, i.e. the 59 blitz, the Taco Bell blitz, and the cheeseburger blitz, reasoning that the quarterback is the focal point of any offense, and that a defense must attack the offense's strength and centerpiece. 1976 and '77, served as defensive line coach for the Minnesota Vikings. That defensive line, we all know that unit, the Purple People Eaters, anyone? Purple People Eaters. Heralded for ability to punish rivals. 76 Vikings won the NFC Championship and appeared in Super Bowl 11, but they lost, of course, to the Oakland Raiders, who was coached by John Madden, as we all know. In '77, the Vikings won the NFC Central, got back to the championship game, but they were defeated, I believe, by the Dallas Cowboys and Tom Landry. During his time with the Vikings, Ryan started working on the defensive nickel scheme designed to disrupt the passing game. That formed the early basis of the 46 defense. And then, of course, with the Chicago Bears, he was brought in by the legendary George Halas in 1978, brought in Ryan as defensive coordinator. They created the 46 defense, named after then-built Bears safety Doug Plank. But it wasn't until '81 that the scheme was perfected. That was due in large part because of Mike Singletary's ability to single-handedly dominate the middle of the field. Then Bears head coach Neil Armstrong was fired in '82. The defensive players lobbied Halas to let Ryan take over, or pleaded for the owner to retain Ryan as defensive coordinator. And then, of course, Mike Ditka would eventually become the head coach. Ryan and Ditka, they had a feud. Those two, as Michael Fletcher and everybody likes to say, those two plainly did not like each other. Let me just tell you that right now. And then, though Ditka delegated the defense to Buddy and left him in charge, Ditka challenged Ryan to a fight during halftime of the infamous 1985 Monday Night Football game versus the Miami Dolphins, trailing 31-10. And then the guys on the team had to separate them, offense getting Ditka away from Ryan and defensive guys holding Buddy. Bears went on to lose 38-24. That would be their only loss. And then they went on to Super Bowl 20, where they would dominate the New England Patriots 46-10. And the Bears defense, you remember the image, they not only carried Mike Ditka off the field, they also carried Buddy Ryan off the field. Who will ever forget that image? One of the most iconic images in Super Bowl history. First time ever that two coaches ever got carried off the field in the Super Bowl. And that Bears defense in '85 set several records and led the league in turnovers forced and surrendered the fewest yards, points, and first downs. And then in the offseason, he was hired by the Philadelphia Eagles, and the rest is history with that. They released running back Ernest Jackson, who had rushed for over 1,000 yards, limiting the play of Ron Jaworski. And he coached players such as Randall Cunningham, Reggie White, and Andre Waters. Drafted Pro Bowlers Seth Joyner, Clyde Simmons, Jerome Brown, Eric Allen, Chris Carter, Fred Barnett, and Keith Jackson. 3 playoff appearances in 88, 89, and 90. And on October the 25th of 87, he came under a fire after a game against the Dallas Cowboys by scoring a touchdown in the final seconds when the outcome was no longer in doubt. It was apparent Ryan's revenge against Dallas head coach Tom Landry, who Ryan felt had run up the score against the Eagles' replacement players during the 87 players' strike, using many of the Cowboys' players that had crossed the picket line. November of 89, he found himself at the center of another scandal when Cowboys head coach Jimmy Johnson alleged Ryan had taken out a bounty on 2 Cowboys players, then current Dallas place kicker Louis Sendejas and quarterback Troy Aikman, in a game dubbed Bounty Bowl, played on Thanksgiving Day at Texas Stadium. Ryan was fired by the Eagles in 91 after going 43, 38, and 1 in 5 years, including 0-3 in playoff games, and he would become an NFL commentator for CNN. And then in 93, he became the defensive coordinator for the Houston Oilers, and his defensive team helped propel the Oilers to an 11-game winning streak at the end of the 93 season. Last televised game against the New York Jets on January 2nd of 94, another sideline altercation with offensive coordinator Kevin Gilbride. As we all know, he punched him, as we all know. Another one of those infamous images. Criticized Gilbride's run and shoot, referring it to the chuck and duck. Ryan thought that last-minute defensive stance lost him 2 players to injuries when the offense could have simply run the clock out. At the end of that first half, Gilbride called a pass play, and when Cody Carlson fumbled, Ryan started yelling at Gilbride, who then started talking towards Ryan, and then, of course, the punch, and y'all know that story. And then after being given a large share of the credit for the success in Houston in 93, he was named the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals in 94. On arriving in Phoenix, Buddy announced, "You've got a winner in town." Also named GM of the Cardinals, Ryan went 8-8 in his first year, but in the other year went 4-12, and that was it, just 12-20. He was an assistant on 3 different teams to make the Super Bowl: the Jets, Bears, and Vikings. He built his reputation as a defensive specialist and was largely credited with implementing and perfecting the 46 defense. And as of January of this year, his twin sons, Rob and Rex, are both on the coaching staff of my Buffalo Bills. Rex Ryan, the head coach; Rob Ryan, the assistant head coach of defense. So that's the story. And so, yeah, oftentimes controversial, but you have to admit, and I know Michael Fletcher will get into this when we get to him, one of the greatest defensive minds in the history of the NFL. I mean, I know if Michael Fletcher ever went into NFL coaching, he would want to do it on the defensive side because he is a defensive genius, let me tell you. Whereas I'm more of an offensive guy, as you all know. But say what you want about him, but Buddy Ryan will go down as one of the greatest. Maybe not, the greatest head coach, but maybe the greatest defensive line coach or defensive coordinators you will ever have. And I know his death was rattled the NFL community like it always does. And I mean, what else is there to say except that 46 defense? I mean, if it wasn't for him, the 85 Bears would never have gone down as maybe the greatest defensive unit in history. Let me tell you. So with all that being said, and of course, Rex and Rob now on my Buffalo Bills coaching staff, and I tell you, hopefully it'll be a good year for them. And I know this has been tough on them, obviously, and I know they're going to dedicate this season and every season going forward to the memory of their father, no question about that. And hey, their father, that was their father's first NFL coaching job, like I said, from 61 to 65 under Lou Saban. So yeah, and so this I never knew he was a coach on my Buffalo Bills. I never knew that until I did my research on his death. So this is definitely another close to home one for me. May not have had the success, like all my, like Marv Levy and all those guys did. But I tell you what, like I said, say what you want about him, but one of the greatest defensive minds. If we ever did a power ranking of greatest defensive minds, he would damn sure be on that list. No question about it. So, with all that said, on behalf of all of us here at Strictly Sports, thoughts and prayers and condolences to the family, friends, players, colleagues, what have you, of Buddy Ryan. And, I mean, you know, like I said, say what you want about him, but, you know, he you know, what else is there to say? I mean, survived by his wife, Doris, and not just his two sons, Rex and Rob, but also he also had a third son in Jim. Well, actually, him and Doris divorced after 11 years of marriage, 8 months after Rex and Rob was born. Met his second wife, Joni, in '68 when the two lived in the same apartment building in the Bayside neighborhood of Queens when Ryan was working with the Jets. They married in '70, and she passed away in September of 2013 after a long battle with Alzheimer's disease. So it's obvious that those two are reunited up there now. And then he passed away after a lengthy illness. He will be buried at Lawrenceburg Cemetery in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, where he also had a farm. He had battled cancer and had suffered a major stroke in recent years. So, yeah, definitely sad indeed. But all of us here at Strictly Sports wish the Ryan family we want to wish you the best, and you know, we'll be praying for you. We'll be thinking of you, and we'll also definitely, and of course, we'll do the routine once again. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the inspiration. And thank you for Buddy Ryan. We're going to do the open forum thing again, so whoever wants to pay their respects to Buddy Ryan first, please, it's all yours. Anybody who wants it. And Michael Fletcher, it's only fitting you started off because, I mean, nobody knows. I mean, Buddy Ryan, one of the greatest defensive minds out there. You're a defensive mind in training, and I know this has got to be a hard one for you considering your love of defense.
And not only that, but he was the originator, the creator, the inventor of one of the most lethal defenses back in the 1980s, especially in 1985. That 46 defense, man. I mean, you know, a lot of teams did not know how to handle that 46 defense because of the fact that back in the day, the 46 was really more of a mirage. It was almost like when the Miami Dolphins brought the Wildcat to the NFL. Not many teams really knew what to do with this type of a defensive setup because, you know, your standard defenses in the National Football League are 3-4 or 4-3. But how do you handle a 46? It's basically, if you really think about it, it's really 6 guys at the front, 4 in the back. It's really more, you get, you know, your two safeties and your 2 corners are your back 4, and your 6 are basically 2 linebackers and the original 4, which is normally your guards, your nose tackles, and then you get, you know, your front 4 guys with only 2 linebackers to work with. A 46 defense is so rare in the NFL nowadays because, like I said, it was really Buddy Ryan that brought that to the forefront, and to bring that to the guys known as the Monsters of the Midway, the Chicago Bears, especially that '85 team, was so unique. That's why he was such a defensive genius. The one thing that also makes him a great coach was, Anthony, you alluded to 1987. That was the year of the strike. And the thing was, he sided with the Players Association. He wasn't a guy that didn't care of. He was there for the players. You know, he was gonna bat to them in that type of attitude, that blue collar type attitude. I remember there was an article. I mean, no, it was Sal Palantonio was talking about it in Philadelphia the other day when news broke out that Buddy Ryan had passed away, and he talked about that story. You know how You know, he sided with the union, with the Players Association. How he went to bat for a lot of the guys, and a lot of those players respected him, loved him for it. And not only that, but his style of football, the way he played the game, the way he coached the game, it was true blue-blooded Philadelphia Eagles. You may claim, you know, he was with a lot of teams. He was with Buffalo. He was with Chicago. He was with Arizona. I'm telling you right now, Philadelphia fans will embrace him and say, he's our coach. There's only one other guy that they'll say that to, and that's Andy Reid. Those are the only two coaches that Philadelphia will say they are our guys. They were Philadelphia Eagles, and they're going to take that all the way. That's why this guy was so loved in Philadelphia, because of the fact that he was no-nonsense, blue-collar. He was going to fight for you. You fight for him, he was going to fight for you. That's the way that Buddy Ryan was. Now, we talk about Rob Ryan, we talk about Rex Ryan now, because of the way that they bring that type of defense, that ferocious defense, that, you know, because of that DNA, that's what made Buddy Ryan so good, and that's why he was so respected in NFL circles, you know. And you could talk about guys like, Romeo Crennel, or we could talk about, some of those other great defensive-minded coaches in all of the NFL. But there was only one Buddy Ryan, and let me tell you guys, he was an original guy, a guy that I would respect. And yeah, I'm a defensive guy. I marveled at the 46 defense because I've never seen anything like it in my life, and will never see anything like it ever again. But what he was a defensive genius, and I hope that, and I know a lot of people respects that and loves him for it and realizes how great he was. But let me tell you guys, I am going to miss him dearly. And yeah, this does hit a little too close to home. But for me, I'm very happy to see how great he was, because of the fact that, well, he was him, and he was an original of the NFL. And I truly believe Buddy Ryan will be forever linked as one of the greatest defensive-minded coaches of all time in NFL history. I mean, this guy was a pioneer, another pioneer of the game. You know, we always talk about guys contributing to the NFL. This guy was such a contributor to the National Football League, and I truly hope someday he finally finds his path to the Hall of Fame, to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, because this guy deserves to be in it for being a pioneer of the game. You know, he won't go in as a player because, but for his contributions, for his defensive-mindedness, and for him to be one of the original guys that brought the 46 defense to the world, this guy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame in my eyes. And I hope the Pro Football Hall of Famers are listening to me, and I hope he at least gets a look at possibly being in Canton, Ohio. There's nothing more to say. Whoever wants to take it next, the floor is now yours.
I'll actually
I'll
take it.
take it. I was gonna take it.
Oh, all right.
All right. So, yeah, Buddy Ryan, of course. A lot of great things about him, and I'm glad that Fletch brought that story about how he was for the players, during the NFL strike. But when you kind of look at his legacy, I mean, the 85 Bears, and you look at the 85 Bears for a moment. I mean, the 85 Bears, look at that defense that they had. William the Refrigerator Perry, Steve Mongo McMichael, Ron Rivera, Mike Singletary. That was the core. that 4-6 defense. And here's another what if files, and this is something that I'm going to bring in right now. What if that 1985 Chicago Bears team went undefeated? Would we consider them as the greatest NFL team of all time over, the Miami Dolphins? Hell yeah, I would say. I mean, like what he did with the defense. But, New York Jets, originally part of that, Jet squad that won the Super Bowl. We all know Super Bowl III. And reading this on Wikipedia right now, Ryan, he actually created multiple blitz packages, the 59 blitz, the Taco Bell blitz, the cheeseburger blitz, and kind of like, the reason how they pulled off that upset. And, man. And then he went on to coach the Chicago Bears, how they became, the monsters of the Midway. Philadelphia as well. So, yeah, and that Houston Oilers team, I remember watching something on NFL Network at one time where, the Houston Oilers, they were on an 11-game winning streak at the end of the 1993 season. And then, of course, the week later, they had that altercation as well, and many people had said, that was kind of like the fall of the Houston Oilers. And then his career in Philadelphia, 43-35. Lost to the Chicago Bears in the divisional game. Lost to the Rams in the wild card game the next year. And lost to the Redskins in the wild card game. And that's an interesting thing because you know me. I'm an NFC East guy because of the Dallas Cowboys. He coached in a division where the New York Giants and the Washington Redskins were like the main event attractions. Nowadays, it would always be like, Dallas and Philly. And that's what he did, In Dallas, at that time, we all know they were really the bottom of the team because, Dallas obviously sucked. Let's not kid ourselves. But, Philadelphia, they wanted to, climb that tree and try to dethrone the Redskins and the Giants. And then with Arizona, not really much success, even though they were 8-8 in the NFC East in 1994. So, of course, my condolences go to the Ryan family, Rex and Rob. And yeah, I mean, you guys talk about it. Another, too close to home death going, happening. I mean, it was just 3 weeks ago. We were talking about, 4 weeks ago, it all started with Muhammad Ali. And then Gordie Howe passed away. And we've had so many too close to home deaths this year. And I always say, 2017 cannot get here fast enough with all these hard times winning stories. But, I also have to think, too, because, lately I've been watching the Euros. And at least one good thing in 2016 is happening. I mean, the Euros. Look what's happening. I mean, Iceland, for God's sakes. I mean, Iceland, an underdog team. A country. Yeah, let me get to that quick. I'll get into that, Florio. Iceland, a population of 332,000 people. And their team is in the quarterfinals, playing against France. I mean, Sunday. That's a big game right there. I don't care what anybody says. A team that's an underdog going up against a team that's playing for a country after the most horrific terrorist attack in that country's history. That's Shakespearean drama right there. And look what happened today with Wales beating Belgium, beating the number 2 ranked team in FIFA, 3-1. Wednesday, going up against my team, Portugal. The headline of that game, Cristiano Ronaldo against Gareth Bale. 2 of the 3 members of the infamous BBC. That, my friends, is Shakespearean drama right there. And then, of course, Pittsburgh winning the Stanley Cup. Cleveland, I'll get into that. Yes, winning. I mean, let me just say it like this. Cleveland, ever since they won the championship, their baseball team, 14 in a row, they won tonight. If you guys are doing power rankings, you know who would be number one on the power rankings tonight. The Cleveland Indians. Go figure. So those are some of the things so far in 2016. I mean, yeah, we've had some passings. Of course, a couple of weeks ago, I believe there was an actor from Star Trek, from the movies, passed away, young age. But let me just say it like this: we're in July. Let's hope for a better second half of 2016. No more passings. No more, noggin diva stories. Let's just fly right through 2016 with some positivity. But then again, we always say it like this: how long will these hard times last? Forever. Forever, friends. Who wants to take it? Take it.
Yeah, I'll actually take it now. When it comes to this, to Buddy Ryan, I mean, like you said, of course, thoughts, prayers, and condolences go out to the Ryan family, and yeah, I mean, like you said, he, of course, won his first Super Bowl, actually, like you said, with the Jets in 1968 in Super Bowl III, and like you said, I mean, some of the defenses that he had in that first one, he had like you said, multiple blitz packages, which was the 59 blitz, the Taco Bell blitz, the cheeseburger blitz, and that was the reason why the Jets won that Super Bowl and why they, yeah, and then like you said, going to Minnesota and creating a dominant defensive line known as the Purple People Eaters, and led them, of course, to the 1976 NFC Championship in Super Bowl 11, and then went back to the NFC Championship game, and then, of course, everybody remembers his role as defensive coordinator with the Chicago Bears, with that famous 46 defense, and of course he had guys like of course Mike Singletary, William the Refrigerator Perry. I mean, that defense was just dominant and won 46-10, and yeah, so basically mentioned everything else. I mean, of course, we all know, of course, his two sons, of course, are, of course, Rob and Rex Ryan. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. I mean, you guys pretty much touched on it. So, like I said, thoughts, prayers, and condolences to the friends and family of Buddy Ryan. So, nothing more to say. So, Florio, well, I guess since Dee Woodson doesn't know about it, I think we should just move on to the wrestling topics.
Unless of course, Dee Woodson wants to pay her respects, or we can just move on. Dee Woodson, it's up to you. All right, very well. Okay, go on. Okay, yep. So, all right. So now we're gonna get into the wrestling stuff now. And our first topic here. I did forget one of the topics that we're going to get into. I'll address that elephant in the room after. We're gonna start it off with Roman Reigns. Now, as you all know, Roman Reigns was suspended by WWE for violating the wellness policy. Derek Ferreira and Michael Fletcher did videos on that, and of course, when we heard about this suspension, of course, I got it from Michael Bullock. When Michael Bullock and I, had our, got ready for our group outing, some time ago. We talked about that. I mean, that was the first thing he notified me about, and I thought, well, I guess the Battleground I guess that Shield triple threat match is no longer in effect. Well, he actually is eligible to return just a few days before Battleground. I mean, I believe his suspension should be up around the 21st of this month. Now that we're in July now. He should be on the 21st now, and that would be 3 days before Battleground, and and I believe he'll have missed the Monday Night Raw, the go-home Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. Of course, the go-home Raw will be right here in Providence, folks, right here in Providence, Rhode Island. Derek Ferreira is going to that, and I'm sure he's going to get into that when we get to him. That was a birthday present for him. He's going to be going to that Monday Night Raw on July 18th. And then, of course, July 19th, as we all know, not only is it draft night in the WWE, but that's also going to be the debut of our brand new Tuesday Night Wrestling Forum. And that's when you're going to be seeing a lot more of us going forward, believe me. So, and we can't wait. But the hot topic is, should Roman Reigns still be allowed to compete in the main event of Battleground, despite being suspended? And, of course, as you know, as of now, the main event is a triple threat match for the newly named, or renamed in this case, WWE Championship. Remember, it's no longer the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It's just right back to the WWE Championship. Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. So the question I have for all of you, should Roman Reigns be allowed to compete in the main event of Battleground? Derek Ferreira, I'm going to start it with you because you're the one who basically got the ball rolling on this one. So, Derek, I ask you, should Roman Reigns still be allowed to compete at Battleground, yes or no?
Well, I got some news on that Monday Night Raw, first of all. I will actually be on the show July 18th. Basically, it'll be a little bit later because I will have my phone with me, and I do have the Google Hangout on my phone as well. So you're going to get some live on-site reporting for the Wrestling Forum that night. So that's some news over there, and I will also be part of that show on the 19th as well. So, because obviously it's a big night for professional wrestling. Now, I did a blog on Sportsblog as well on this topic because, I mean, his suspension, the IWC loved this suspension, without a doubt. They loved it. Because, quite obviously, they don't give two craps about Roman Reigns. They hate him. They despise him. But, with Roman not being part of this Battleground card, well, the road to the Battleground, it's kind of weird, especially with how you're trying to build that match. Hold on, I just got a text, so, hold on quickly. But, yeah, it's kind of weird that, it was a couple of friends of mine, they got it for me they got the tickets for my birthday. They were actually in Florida for my birthday, so it was kind of an early birthday present. But yes, it's kind of a bit weird, for him to not be part of this, build to the Battleground. But you still want to see him be part of this match. Than being kind of being an afterthought, because we've seen Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. I mean, last year they had their match it was the Elimination Chamber, where you had that, I believe it was the Dusty finish, and then the match that they had at the Money in the Bank where Rollins actually won. So we've seen Ambrose and Rollins many times. I really don't think WWE would do such a thing like that, but Roman Reigns, he's this big super wrestler. He's been delivering every time he's been in these big matches. Except for what happened at WrestleMania with Triple H, which, I did not really like that match. Roman, and I understand, Roman, he did screw up. He did do something bad. He took illegal substances, and we always say, you do the crime, you do the time. And now that he did this, people are going to say, you know what? He's never going to be the heir to the throne to John Cena. He's never going to be he's not going to be Cena. No way. But he's still a main event player. That's the reality of this WWE. And this is why they call this the reality era. Because, sure, we might not like things that WWE Creative does. But you know what? We have to face the facts. They're going to, pee us off. And we're going to go on social media. We're going to go on YouTube. We're going to complain and complain and complain and complain every single week about WWE Creative. They're not going to give two jacks of what the IWC says. Yes, he's not going to be on TV for a couple of more weeks. But I'm sure, they can work things around on him. And, this talks about him. I guess the Dirt Sheet said this week that, and I actually just read this right now on WrestlingRumors.net, that he might be returning to the ring sooner rather than later. So maybe they're going to work that thing out. I know people are excited about this triple threat. We should have gotten this at SummerSlam, but you got the brand extension. And that's what Battleground did last year. Battleground basically, they gave us Lesnar and Rollins. Okay, that could have made event at SummerSlam. They worked things around. This is what WWE is going to do. They're working things around. They're giving us a triple threat main event. And I'm sure they're going to give us this, well, my favorite word, Plan B, for SummerSlam. And I believe we will get a great main event in a couple of weeks' time. But I got a little bit of a bombshell here. Honestly, when it comes to Roman, and I keep saying this time and time again, you got to turn Roman Reigns heel. Yes, you got to turn him heel. I've been saying that for almost 2 years now. I've been saying that on YouTube. I've been saying that on my sports blogs. Turn the guy heel. It has to happen after Battleground. So, who wants to take it? You take it.
Before you guys do, I just came across this Dirt Sheet. Jerry Lawler's suspension has been lifted.
I heard about that earlier today.
That's a future topic for discussion. So, all right. So, whoever wants to jump in on the Roman Reigns main event issue, whoever wants it next, it's yours. Yeah, Fletch. Fletch's mic's not muted. I don't know why we can't hear him. Maybe he might have an audio snafu or something like that. But all right, yeah, we lost him. All right, I see Bullet's mic is unmuted. I guess Bullet wants to go. So all right, Bullet. Roman Reigns, should he be in the main event of Battleground or not?
I say no. I mean, because here's the thing. I mean, he's being suspended. I mean, until like a few days before Battleground, and when you do come back, I mean, you don't even have enough time to basically to try to build up this triple threat match. And to me, I mean, I think he needs to be humbled for what he did, and that humblingness experience is to not have him in the triple threat main event at Battleground, and just make it a simple one-on-one match with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, because let's face it, I mean, it was Seth Rollins who lost to Dean Ambrose, so even though Roman Reigns did lose the title that night, but I mean, yeah, Roman Reigns, I mean, he did admit that what he did was wrong, and basically talked about it on Twitter, but to me, I mean, that's not enough. I mean, you basically you need to like punish him or humble him more, and that is to take him out of the main event. I'm sorry. I mean, I know some people would say, well, that would just kill the main event and kill that dream match that we've been waiting to see, but here's the thing. It could still happen. Maybe have it happen at SummerSlam, but we'll wait and see. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think he should be in the main event. No doubt about it in my mind. So basically, it should just be Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins for the title, and the story and the quotation. Period. Fletcher, it's yours.
All right, can you guys hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, I'm sorry about that, guys. I don't even know what the heck happened. It was just kind of one of those weird things. Everything was running fine. I just muted my mic, and the next thing I know, now you couldn't hear me. Everything went dark on me. I don't know what the heck. But all right, look. As far as the Roman Reigns thing goes, I agree with you guys. I don't think Roman deserves to be in the title fight. But the thing was, WWE was about to turn a blind eye to this before everything broke out, because as a matter of fact, and according to a lot of reports, they were saying that prior to the suspension, they were not going to punish Roman Reigns. The punishment was going to be they were going to strip him of the WWE Championship, where he was going to lose to Seth Rollins. And not only did he lose to Seth Rollins, he lost to him clean. That meant there was no debate about it. Seth Rollins was going to be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion because of the fact that, it was going to be a clean 1-2-3. He got him on the pedigree, got him, and took him out. So it wasn't going to be like, oh, you can't say that you can't, Roman deserves a rematch because Seth cheated. There was authority shenanigans. No, there wasn't. This was a clean victory. In the center of the ring, folks. Ring the bell. Now, the one thing that they were going to do was, before I got my hands on the report, before Derek got his hands on the report, before everybody else got their hands on the report, was they were going to try to keep this hush-hush. They were going to let Roman Reigns just, they were going to strip him of the belt. He would get his rematch, but there wasn't going to be anything else. When Dave Meltzer and all the guys got their hands on it, and when I found out, me and Ferrero practically found out almost at the exact same time. I found out first. Derek probably got his news, about maybe a couple of minutes later, Ferrero, because once I posted what had happened, you literally jumped. Almost not even less than a minute later, Ferrero was already reporting on...
No, I heard it on Busted Open. When Busted Open, I remember it was... When it happened, they broke the news right at the second hour. Right when they were going on second hour, they broke it. And I was like, wow. And they just literally talked about it.
Yeah, because I'm wondering because would that have been around the same time that I broke the news, right around the second hour? Because I thought I was pretty quick on the draw, but it seemed like Busted Open beat us both to the punch here. So
3 o'clock. When they do their show, it's 2 to 4.
Yep.
They went to commercial. They did, their little introduction, and then they, said, we got breaking news in the WWE. Roman Reigns has been suspended and they just literally Doug Nortman on that show. Usually when they do the first hour, he does like the monologue, starts us off with what happened. He did a whole monologue on that for 2 hours, and then you had LaGreca. He talked about it, and then they had the phone calls, and that's what I remember on that day.
Yeah, because I know when I found out, whoa, man, about, I want to say, right around the same time. I think it was around the 3 o'clock hour. I think I might have been a little sooner. I don't know. But news leaked out, and boy, did it explode on so many fronts on this. So, no, I definitely understand where you guys are coming from, but no, Roman needs to be suspended. I mean, he deserves to be punished. He doesn't deserve to fight for the title either. One other bit of thing was that Roman had to apologize to the WWE locker room before he left, before he got to serve the suspension. So he actually was in front of a full congregation of WWE superstars, divas, management, whatnot. He apologized. He said, "Look, I'm gonna own up to the mistake. I messed up. I'm sorry, guys." And then that's when people were pissed, because what can you do at that point? This was your big guy, your cash cow, and he just, he got suspended for who know. I don't know what he was suspended for. Because they were so tight-lipped about it. Obviously, this was not a PED bust because it wasn't performance enhancing for what I heard. I heard it was marijuana. That's what I heard. I heard he couldn't lay off the weed, and that's why he got suspended. But we don't know. I mean, we'll never know what the real reason why he got suspended for. But that's one of the theories I've been hearing is that he couldn't lay off the weed, and that's why he got busted. So we'll wait and see what happens. But I agree with you guys. He should not be fighting for the WWE World Heavyweight title. As a matter of fact, I'll even go one further. I agreed with Seth Rollins on Monday night. This should be a straight-up one-on-one Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins for the WWE title at the pay-per-view. So, whoever wants it next, go ahead.
Yeah, what else is there to say? Definitely agree with that. He's going to miss all the TVs anyway. Personally, I'd rather see the triple threat match at SummerSlam. I've been, lobbying for that for weeks. You've heard me say that on the show many times. They should save it for SummerSlam because, you want to make SummerSlam the biggest event. You want to make SummerSlam just as big as WrestleMania. I think that's how you should do it. It should be a straight-up one-on-one with Rollins and Ambrose for the WWE Championship. So that's all I can say about it. You guys pretty much touched on everything. Didi Woodson, what do you say about this? Do you think Roman should be in the main event?
No, he shouldn't be in the main event. He's screwed up big time, and I agree. He should be pretty much punished for it. Plus, like you said, he's not even going to be in any of the shows leading up to it. So why put him in the main event if he's not even going to be around to help lead up for the match itself? So there's not much more to say.
All right. So with that said, let's move on to our next topic, and that is the Divas Championship. Yep, there goes that word again. We all remember. We all remember it was back at WrestleMania when Hall of Famer Lita was working the WrestleMania kickoff show, and she came on towards the tail end of it and announced that WWE was retiring the Divas Championship and was bringing in that newly created Women's Championship that Charlotte currently holds. And our next topic here is, now that we have the brand extension, could we see possibly the return of the Divas Championship? that's the question. What's the answer? So, of course, this open forum thing's been working out really well tonight. So whoever wants to jump in on this, first off, who wants to lead off, go ahead. Are we going to see the Divas title back now that we're going to have the brand extension? Michael Fletcher, MF, what do you say?
What my feeling is I believe we're gonna get. I don't think we're gonna get the Divas title back in WWE. What I'm thinking is it's gonna be something of a variation of another woman's title. I don't know how they're gonna do this. Is it possible the Divas title is coming back? Absolutely. I mean, I'm not gonna say absolutely not, no way, no how. It's possible, but you kind of retired it to bring the women's title, and I don't know if this should be the Divas title. I mean, I kind of sense like maybe if you bring, create, because I'm hearing there's going to be a second women's title. Now, I've heard that it's supposed to be a variation of the women's championship on SmackDown to Raw, where Raw is going to be with the red emblem, the red everything, and the SmackDown title is supposed to be in blue. A blue background, blue border, women's championship. So I don't know what to even expect or what to even believe. I do believe the Divas title is definitely not fully retired, because unless they're gonna redesign the belt and give it that WWE-esque look like they did with the women's title and call it the Divas title instead of that winged belt, that butterfly looking belt, which I know Anthony Floyo, oh man, did it crawl up his skin and then some about when he saw the Divas title the first time around.
Oh my God, Michael Fletcher, you have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, between that and the Cena bling bling sideshow WWE Championship and US Championships that he had, the three worst titles in the history of professional wrestling, bar none. And if I never ever saw those again, I wouldn't mind it a bit.
Yeah.
Just bring up that wing title to him, and Florio will be like, ugh, no.
Oh my God,
he'll flip his lid.
It will be like when you saw John Laurinaitis on Monday Night Raw a couple of weeks ago. You had to bury yourself. You wanted to crawl under a hole. You're like, goodbye world. I like Phenom out. He basically wanted it to exit stage left. Trust me, Florio will exit stage left if that Divas title is brought back. If we see that belt, if we see the butterfly belt fly around again. I know Florio for that matter. It was good. I mean, I think we're going to see the Divas title back, but I don't think we're going to see the butterfly belt. Like I said, I think it's going to be a variation of what the women's title looks like now, in blue background, blue border, whatever. I think they're going to go in that direction. I don't know why. I just got that feeling about it, because WWE is going to want to look, very modernized. And, they did it with the men's championships. They did the WWE World Heavyweight title. Now they're calling it the WWE title. That's why I'm thinking they're going to bring back the old WWE Championship, where they're going to have that, like, as their belt, because it's no longer going to say World Heavyweight title. And I think what they're going to do, now I know Anthony was saying, oh, they're going to bring back the World Heavyweight Championship. They're going to bring back the gold belt. I don't think so. I think what they're going to do is they're going to do the same thing. Instead of it calling it, I think they're going to do the same thing with the WWE title. They're going to do it for SmackDown. They're probably going to have it. They'll call that the World Heavyweight Championship, but it's going to look almost a replica of the WWE Championship right now. I don't think they're going to do anything else. I don't think they're going to bring the big gold back, is what they called it, or big Goldie back. Because remember, the last person who had possession of it was John Cena. What did he do with it? He gave it to Ric Flair. And technically, the belt's been retired. Flair has it. He's still, as a matter of fact, I believe John Cena gave it to Ric Flair. Flair has possession of that World Heavyweight title, and they told him, keep that belt. That belt, so in my eyes, I don't think that belt's ever making a return. In my eyes. So we'll wait and see. Do I think the Divas title's coming back? I think it is, but not what you think it's going to look like. I think they're going to keep it, like I said, almost similar to what the women's title is now in WWE. I don't believe it's going to be anything more different than that. If the butterfly belt does decide to fly out of its cocoon again, well, then we're going to have to deal with it and live with it. And I know there's going to be at least one, maybe two, maybe three people who might not be very happy. So, we'll see. Who wants it next? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna step in here. I mean, very good points, Michael Fletcher. I mean, we're obviously going to get separate women's championships. I would have to imagine. I mean, wherever Charlotte goes, that's where the WWE Women's Championship will reside, and then the other show will get some sort of variation. I mean, I swear to God, if I see that grotesque looking belt back on my television screen, oh my goodness, am I going to go off? Because that was one of the biggest pieces of monstrosity that I have ever seen in my entire life. I mean, I've seen ugly championship belts before, but that one to me, no. Get the you-know-what out of here with that stuff. No way. I don't ever want to see that thing again. But then hopefully that thing, I mean, they said it was quote-unquote retired at WrestleMania. I hope and pray to God that's the case. And then from there, like I said earlier, those not one but two bling bling sideshow belts that John Cena had, that bling bling sideshow US title and that bling bling sideshow WWE championship, which they use as their main championship for, oh God, what, almost 8 years? 7.5 years or so before The Rock finally, came into the senses and brought back.
I'll tell you this, Florio. At least that was a little bit more entertaining than the Divas title. Just a little bit, not too much.
I'll give you that, Bullet. Yes, but honestly, I mean, those were the three worst belts I've ever seen in my life. I mean, those old school championships from the 60s and 70s, and 80s, I like those. I like those a hell of a lot more. Let me tell you that right now. I mean, heck, give me that old school NWA World Heavyweight Championship belt. I'll take that sucker any day of the week. But nonetheless,
I'll give you the NWA belt because that belt was great. But Florio, come on, are you kidding me? That the belt that Hogan had in '84 when he won for the first time for the WWE title, really? Or that piece of garbage that was the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship, the initial Intercontinental title?
The green belt? Heck yeah.
That ugly green belt?
Heck yeah.
Come on. Now you're just talking nonsense, Florio.
Or I'll even give you those old school United States Heavyweight Championship belts. I'll take anything but that decrepit freak of nature that was that Divas Championship belt, or any of those two bling bling sideshow belts that Cena had. I mean, good grief. But that's a debate for another day. Talking about championship belts and whatnot. I think we should put that on a future show. And I hope that Derek will sign off on that since we have him here. Hopefully we could do something about that in the future. But nonetheless, I do think that we will see the return of the Divas champion we're definitely going to get a second women's belt. And I hope it's a variation of a women's belt. Because like I said, I see that Divas title again, good grief, I'm going to lose my mind. I mean,
I smell a Tony rant coming if we see that belt.
Oh yes, Bullet. I'll keep it as PG as I do because that's how we roll on this channel. I don't want any profanity or anything like that because of my beliefs and everything else. And I'm glad you and I.
Yeah, if we were doing this on Fletcher's channel
or Derek's,
we'd be dropping pipe bombs like crazy.
Yeah, but remember, I think I'll be using the Degeneration X rules on profanity. No F-bombs. If you want to say some certain words, I'll give you a list of the necessary words that you'll get to say, but no F-bombs and no racist comments.
Same here. So, but nonetheless, that's just the point I'm trying to make. So, but I really don't think. I hope and pray that they don't bring back that god awful belt. I really don't want to see it. That's all I can say about it. So, yeah, Fletcher makes some great points. We're definitely gonna get a secondary belt. Like I said, it depends on where Charlotte goes. Whichever show Charlotte's on, that's where the women's championship, that current women's championship, will reside there, and then the other show will get another women's championship belt. So, so we'll see what happens. So, so with all that being said, I say yes, but I don't want to see it, but I got a feeling we're gonna get some sort of variation. So that's just how I feel. So, whoever wants to jump in next, Derek. Yeah, I was planning on throwing it to you, Derek. Anyway, do you know something that we don't about this?
All right. Okay, when you talk about championship belts, for this brand extension, whoever gets, presumably, I think Raw's going to get the WWE Championship. I just have this weird feeling. SmackDown, if they wanted to bring a championship back to make it the World Heavyweight Championship, you got to go old school. You got to go with the belt that I grew up with. The Winged Eagle belt. Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Bring that sucker back. Don't bring that bling bling sideshow. Let me tell you about that championship belt. That championship belt sucks. The spinner thing doesn't even go straight, for God's sakes. It just friggin', it moves. You spin the thing, it'll go straight, but it just can't hold on straight. I've seen YouTube videos of it. It's a disgrace of a championship belt. People that paid $350 for that championship belt, sucks to be you. I'm sorry to say it. Me, old school, that's where you want to go with that. Tag team titles, if they decide to do another secondary tag team title, you got to go old school with the old school tag team titles from the 80s as well. The ones that Demolition held. Women's Championship, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think they're going to use Divas. No way. No way in hell they're going to use the Divas name. I think it was a crime against humanity. I think it was an injustice using that name. I think it should be called Women's Heavyweight. WWE Women, not the WWE Women's Championship, because whoever's going to have that title, could it be Charlotte or Sasha Banks? I think it's going to be Sasha Banks within the next couple of weeks. Maybe the WWE World Women's Championship, that just popped out of my head. I think they'll use that for whichever brand needs a women's championship. Yeah, ladies championship. That's a good one. Very good one, Florio. They can't use Divas. Come on, because look what the Divas Revolution did. Yeah, and that's old school too. I gotta look that up, but it really, women's wrestling, it took a major step forward last year. And of course, you know, with WrestleMania, with Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks, which to me was the fight of the night, and to me the best match of WrestleMania 32. I'm glad they retired that Divas Championship because that thing was ugly as hell. Hated it. If they ever bring that title back, you know what? Just throw it right into the Washington Bridge. Somebody will find that down in Narragansett Bay, but do something like the Ladies Championship or World Women's Championship, whichever they prefer. But WWE, like they always do, instead of going 5 steps forward, they're going to go 5 steps back. And if they decide that they want to bring back the Divas name into it, it's all because of Total Divas. Okay, we all know that show sucks. I don't even watch it. I could care 2 craps about it. But Nikki Bella could have some kind of say into this because I've actually heard rumors that Nikki Bella, yeah, they do. I know they're going to do a Diva show, a Bella show, which is kind of a spin-off to the Total Divas. But I heard Nikki's coming back. But a big question is this going to be a full-time return or a part-time return? Because we know she had that neck surgery. It's kind of a risk if you do go back full-time. And, you know, I'm actually looking forward to, you know, this, the brand extension when it comes to the women's division. I know we had a new name on SmackDown last night. I know Floyd was going to get into that. But I've heard some other names that could be debuting. The call-up for NXT, Nia Jax, Bayley are one of those names that could be going on to the this brand extension as well. So, yeah, I mean, just really bring back something like the Ladies Championship, not Divas, because I'm sorry, the Divas name is just played out. It's at the, to me, should never even be used in the WWE anymore, but like I said, sometimes WWE likes to take things 2 steps backwards, or 5 steps backwards, so whoever wants to take it, take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think we're gonna see like you said. I think more of like another like women's championship thing because I do agree the Divas thing. Ugh, I never liked the Divas championship at all, and even the term Divas. Ugh, it just sucked big time. I mean, if they bring back that Divas championship belt, whew, I am going to go off big time because obviously WWE doesn't care about what the fans want. It's only about what they want. I mean, when is WWE going to get it through their thick skulls to listen to the people? Give them what they want. Give them another women's championship or a ladies championship, like you. Because remember, back in the early days, it was then known as the ladies championship when the Fabulous Moolah had that title. So yeah, so I definitely like to see that happen. Will they do it the way WWE runs things? No, because I think they're going to bring back the Divas Championship. Why? Because they only care about what they want. So I got really nothing more to say. So Dee Dee Woodson, I mean, you've been very critical of the women's division. So give us your thoughts on it.
Okay. For one, you know, I don't think WWE really gives a darn about what the fans think, but they also don't give a darn of what they call their women, how they treat their women on the show. giving them the crap matches and giving them, just a bunch of bull. I don't think they're going to bring the Divas title back, and if they do, trust me, Florio won't be the only one ranting on it, because that was the god-awfulest belt I've ever seen. And why they came up with it, I don't know. I'm sure it has something to do with Michelle McCool, since she was the first one that had it. One of the things I was harping on for a long time before they mentioned the Divas or the brand extension was doing a Divas title or a ladies tag title. And I'd still eventually like to see that pop up, but I know it probably won't pop up now. If they don't do another major title, we'll do a minor title on one of the two shows. You have Intercontinental and U.S. title for the guys. Why don't we have something like that for the ladies? Why don't we give the ladies the same respect we give the guys? Because right now WWE isn't doing that. They're giving the ladies, the leftovers, whatever the guys don't, can't fill on a show. Let's just throw the girls in there and just, give the guys some eye candy to look at, basically. Just they're not even letting the ladies fully do the talent that we know they can do. These women, most of them know what they're doing in the ring. They know how to wrestle, but creative doesn't seem to think that the fans want to actually see these girls do what the ladies in the past used to do. I mean, Moolah and Mae Young and Wendy Rector and all them, they actually got out there and they actually did compete and did actually wrestle. Most of these ladies, they don't know what they're doing, and you're getting ladies that are getting injured because they're bringing them up too fast when they don't even know what they're doing. Train them properly, get them, give them enough time to learn their craft, and then bring them up. Don't just bring them up because they've been a swimsuit model for, some magazine. That's just something we need to get that out of the ladies' past. You want that kind of a person, put them in there as a manager. Don't put them in there as a wrestler, because they need to. If they're going to be a wrestler, they need to know what they're doing. They need to know how to take the falls, how to take the bumps, how to compete. You've had Chyna, you've had Lita, and you've had some of these other ladies that could actually get out there and wrestle men. Now you have these ladies that they're scared to death to even step in a ring with a guy. So, I mean, we need to teach these women how to wrestle. And as far as this belt situation, don't bring back something like the Divas title. Bring back bring a title in that is new, that's creative, and even if it's not a world title for the ladies, make it a minor title. Make it, make it similar to what you already have with that Charlotte's carrying. Don't bring something that is going to just degrade the female population even more than you all are already doing. So, my rant's done. Move on.
Yeah, and let me just say it like this. Ladies championship. I mean, that's what they used to call it in the olden days, in the Moolah days, in the Wendy Richter days. They used to call it the ladies championship. I mean, I remember that very, very well. So I'm hoping that's what they do here. I mean, you don't necessarily have to bring back that that old school title that had Moolah's picture in it, for goodness sakes. I mean, yes, I remember that. Goodness gracious, I do. But let me just say it like this. I mean, to put the matter to bed, let me just say it like this. I just want to give you a couple of exhibits here. That was the belt that had Moolah's picture in it. She held that thing that's the belt that she held for 28 years before Wendy Richter won it from her in Madison Square Garden in 1984. You know what we want to see? You know what and I'm talking to you, WWE suits out there. Let me just say it like this. You know, when it comes to if you want to bring in another women's championship, very simply, it's very simple. Something like one of those three. Are we all agreed on that? Take a look at that. That's what I think you should do.
Yes.
Not the one on the bottom, because you already have a women's championship. One of those other two. Maybe like that one in the middle, maybe. I don't know. But
I think what they're gonna do, and can you get the new WWE Women's title?
Definitely.
Can you get that belt for me? Because
Absolutely.
this is my idea, and this is what I think the WWE is gonna do. This is my thought. All right.
Just give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Fletch. What do you have in mind?
What I'm thinking they're gonna do, and this is gonna be my thought, because of the fact that I think this is how they're gonna play it out. It's gonna be that particular belt with the blue background, so the background not red but blue. But like you said, I think it'll say ladies champion on it. I think that's what we're gonna get. That's my theory. Either that, or they might actually say Divas champion, because I don't think they're gonna break away from this model, this look, this feel. I truly believe this is the way that WWE is gonna do it in the near future. Because, like we said, if they bring back that butterfly belt, oh no, that's gonna cause a ruckus in the house.
All hell will break loose.
Yeah, all hell is gonna break loose, and I hate to say it, but it might fall on my lap because I think that belt's gonna be on SmackDown on Tuesday night. That means I'm hosting. That means I'm gonna have to deal with the headaches of rants, and quite frankly, I don't.
Okay. So, but it will be very interesting to see how this comes about. When we get to the extension and what the plan is, and the whole 9 yards. So with that said, let's move on to our next topic here, and this is the elephant in the room topic I forgot to mention when I was giving you all the docket for the show. And this is one that's going to be near and dear to me, because we're going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite professional wrestlers of all time, Kurt Angle. Should Kurt Angle make a return to WWE? I'm just going to sum it up in one word, and I want to start off on this one. Yes. 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 And here's the reason why. If you haven't been following him on social media like I have, he's been going on about this campaign to make wrestling great again. And if he does come back to the WWE, he can definitely make wrestling great again. Now, I don't know if we're going to see him in any matches. I mean, because he's getting up there in age. I think he's like 46 years old. I mean, he could wrestle on a part-time basis. But for what I've been hearing, there have been a lot of rumors about him possibly working with the American Alphas in NXT. Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. I mean, I know Kurt Angle is very high on their work, and quite frankly, I can't blame them. I mean, they could be the next Team Angle, for goodness sake. You remember the original Team Angle with him and Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin back in 2003. I mean, and they ran roughshod on SmackDown for several months. Kurt Angle was the WWE champion, and Haas and Benjamin were the WWE Tag Team champions. So we'll see. But Kurt Angle, did his thing in TNA. multi-time. I mean, he won every title there was there. Even held them all simultaneously. You remember back in 2007 that feud with Samoa Joe when they put all the belts on the line and Angle that ultimate winner-take-all match. Kurt Angle won that match over Samoa Joe, and he held all the championships simultaneously: the World Heavyweight Championship, the X Division Championship, and the Tag Team Championship. He held them all simultaneously. Never been done before. You're never going to see anything like that again. Although we did see Seth Rollins hold the WWE Championship, the WWE title and the United States title last summer at SummerSlam. You all remember that. But let me just say it like this. Kurt Angle coming back to the WWE at a time when they really need a big name to boost the ratings. I think he's the guy to do it. I've also come across another dirt sheet about a certain big name that could be back possibly within the next month or so and could be back in time for SummerSlam. I'm looking at you, Randy Orton. Yes, I'm saying Randy Orton because I came across a dirt sheet, and I know Michael Fletch. I think I just made Michael Fletch a very happy man. Yes, Fletch, I came across a dirt sheet a little bit ago stating that within the next month or so, we could see the Viper back on television. Still having issues with the shoulder, but he's been advertised for a house show on August 13th, which is a mere 8 days before the biggest party of the summer in SummerSlam in Brooklyn. So, read into that what you will. But getting back to Kurt Angle, I mean, he doesn't have to be a full-time wrestler. He can be a part-time wrestler. He can be semi-retired or what have you, like Triple H and The Undertaker and some of these other guys are, and The Rock, Lesnar and whatnot. But let me just say this. Kurt Angle wants to make wrestling great again. Go back to the WWE and make them great again. I mean, you can make Raw great again. You can make SmackDown great again. Pay-per-view. Well, the pay-per-views have been, very good. But Raw and SmackDown is what needs to help right now. And even though when I get to that SmackDown review in a little bit, when I do my Tony's take, like I said, you're going to hear some things that you never thought you'd hear me say. But I'll say this right now. He wants to make wrestling great again. You've seen the campaign. There's no better way to do it than by going back to the WWE. And if they can work out a reasonable deal and they can get back on good terms, Kurt Angle can also finally take his rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame. He should have been in there to begin with already, but he was in TNA. Obviously, Vince was not going to allow that. I can understand. He's also in the TNA Hall of Fame, as you know. He's one of the TNA Hall of Fame inductees with Sting and the Dudleys and Earl Hebner. And, of course, Gail Kim's going to be going in there this year at Bound for Glory in a few months. So yeah, there's nothing left for me to say. Should Kurt Angle go back to the WWE? Oh, hell yes. Kurt Angle, you say you want to make wrestling great again? You go back to the WWE. And if he does that, wrestling will be great again. Period. And the quotation and the statement, whoever wants it next, it's all yours.
I disagree wholeheartedly. Absolutely not. Do not go to the WWE. You're going to get your ass buried in the WWE. I don't trust them. I don't like them. They're full of garbage. And the last time I remember, they dumped you in ECW and made you suffer over there, Kurt Angle. Do not go to the WWE. Period. I will. Come in.
You okay over there, Fletch?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just give me a second. First off, let me just.
Damn, Fletch really let us know how he felt.
Man.
No, but let me be real honest with you. Why? Because you want to make wrestling great again. That's fine. I'm all for that, Kurt Angle, and I think you'd be great. But let me hit some hotbeds for Derek Ferreira. New Japan Pro Wrestling, AAA in Mexico. Go to Lucha Underground for all I know. Go to Ring of Honor for all I know. Whatever you do, stay the hell away from the WWE. And as a matter of fact, stay the hell away from TNA. You don't need them. You're better than them. You are so much better off in those organizations because that is professional wrestling. That is better than anything else. Everybody's like, oh, he'll be great in WWE. No, he's not. Not when Mr. McMahon is running things. I don't trust him. I mean, look at what they did to him. They try to make him a little bit of a campy comedy goof for a number of years. Then what did they do? They send him to freaking ECW, for God's sakes. ECW. Not the Extreme Championship Wrestling that me and Derek Ferreira was loving. No, they sent him to extremely crappy wrestling. I'm sorry. Anthony Floyo, you are so off base on this more than any other time that you've ever been. And I need to straighten people out right here, right now. Kurt Angle does not need WWE. WWE needs Kurt Angle. Let's be realistic. Because of the fact that your ratings stink, your product sucks, and you got basically a high flyer as possibly your next WWE World Heavyweight Champion? No. And then you got John Cena that the IWC craps all over. You've got basically 2 shows where the average rating is what? 3 point something a week? When they used to do what? 5-6 million people a week back in the Attitude Era days? I'm sorry. No. Kurt Angle is definitely up there in age. That he doesn't need to be in WWE. That's why all these smarter people, Damien Sandow is going to be better off. Cody Rhodes is better off. As a matter of fact, Cody Rhodes is coming to Rhode Island very soon. He's better off not being in WWE because WWE does not know how to treat their talent right. I'm sorry. That's what I truly believe it in my heart of hearts. If you want to make wrestling great again, go to England. You know, you were at that Pro Revolution in England. Go there. Perform for them. Perform for all those people out there around the world. Go to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Go to all of those type of companies. Lucha Underground. What a great opportunity you would be in Lucha Underground. Some of the best professional wrestlers are there now. AAA. You know, the wrestling in Mexico. You would be excellent in there. I'm sorry. You know, if you go back to WWE, you're not going to get the same level of respect or dignity or righteousness as you did back in the day. You know, when you first came out in 1996, you were a hot commodity, one of the hottest superstars in WWE. Yes, you were big. You were huge in WWE. You know, you rode the train and everything else. But then you decided to get yourself out of the contract because of the fact that you said, "Oh, I'm going to retire, and I'm going to be done with WWE. I want to retire. You know, I got nothing left. My neck is really bothering me, and the whole 9 yards." What do, Kurt Angle? You went to TNA. You went to the Enemy. You don't think for one column picking minute Vince McMahon has not forgotten about that? The way you backstab WWE? And now you think that Kurt Angle should go back to WWE? I'm sorry. He will get buried 6 feet under if he goes back to WWE. And the period and the quotation straight up done.
Damn, Fletch. Tell us how you really feel. Woo-hoo. Damn, he dropped one big time. Woo. That is Cerebral Viper mode right there.
All right, whoever wants it next, it's yours.
Whew.
Derek's going to take it, but I don't know how the hell he's going to follow that.
Sorry. But, man, Kurt Angle. You know, I actually saw it's actually Revolution. I think it's Revolution Pro. In the UK, he did wrestle Zack Zyber Jr., who I'll be talking a lot about in just a bit because I'm a big Zack Zyber fan, and you look at some of those wrestlers in the UK, Zyber, Will Ospreay, another wrestler that I'm going to compare him to Dynamite Kid. It's crazy I say that, but it's really true. Ospreay reminds me of him, and he's going up against a veteran Invader. That was just released this week. Holy crap! I would travel all the way up to the UK to watch that. An old buck against a new buck who's like 22 years old, and is already starting out as a big commodity in professional wrestling. But Kurt Angle, he has his supporters. But you have to say it. I mean, injuries has really gotten into him, and you could see in that match against Ospreay, people were saying it was a 5-star classic. From what I was watching, it was a 13-minute match, and like I said, it's not the Kurt Angle that we saw in WWE on TNA. And it's going to get tougher for him because, he's actually 48 years old. But I know Angle's lobbying to get back to the WWE and trying to put everything to be back in the WWE. And if he does go into the WWE, I mean, the big question is, can he wrestle in a few matches? I mean, the WWE roster, I know we always crap on the product like we're doing tonight. They have a deep roster. Whether it's on the main roster, whether it's NXT, for God's sakes. But if WWE, and that's kind of the reason why they're doing this brand extension, because you want to put depth onto the shows, like Raw, SmackDown. Try to get him for a WrestleMania appearance. I mean, there are people that want Kurt Angle back in the WWE, the IWC, but, speaking on how the IWC wants to do things, it's kind of nostalgia. That's why. I mean, it's, they just want to see this guy in the ring one more time. I think it's crazy that he does go back, but it's a wait and see. To me, seeing him against Zack Zyber Jr., something wasn't right, and I think age really has caught up to him. I mean, sure, in New Japan, you got guys up in there like Yuji Nagata, who, God, he's an old buck. And he just, I mean, don't get me wrong. Nagata just went up against Shibata a couple weeks ago at Dominion and fought Shibata. I gave that fight a 4-star fight. I mean, he's right around Angle's age too, 48. But in Japan's a different style of wrestling than what you see here in the States. Yeah, they can beat the living daylights out of each other. And it's true. They do. I mean, I've told people their wrestling is better than the wrestling that we see here in the States. Why? Because it's be a man. They don't give two craps if they die in that ring. All they want to do is they want to go in there, get the beating of their lives, get out of that ring, and take it like a man. So Angle coming back, I mean, it's possible, but based on seeing him wrestle against Zyber Jr., and you can watch that on YouTube, I think he's done. I think, the neck surgeries has gotten into him. And, I mean, look at neck surgeries. Look at neck injuries in the past. Look at Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin retired because of a neck injury. Edge retired because of a neck injury. Why? One more move, they're going to be paralyzed. They're going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of their days. I don't want to see that with Kurt Angle. Live your life. You got a great family. Spend time with with your family. That's all I got to say. Who wants to take it?
I think it's time he retires, basically. I agree with Derek. One more injury to that neck, and he's going to be paralyzed. He doesn't need to step back into the ring and risk it all one more time and end up, doing what so many do, and that's, wrestle until they die in the ring. And we don't need another wrestler dying in the ring. I think we've had enough of that. So, Kurt, just hang the boots up, pass the torch, and live a happy life. Take care of your family, take care of your kids, and just, if you really want to stick with this business, maybe you can go into training or something. But no, don't get in the ring. That's it.
Bo, did you get your thoughts on if Kurt Angle should come back?
No, I didn't.
All right. Your thoughts on what do you how do you feel? I mean, I know you can't follow Fletcher's Cerebral Viper rant, but what do you?
Yeah, there's no way on earth I'm going to be able to follow that. But you know what? I'm with the D.D. Woodson, Derek Ferrer, and Michael Fletcher. I don't think he should return to WWE. And Fletcher does bring up a good point. Remember, of course, when they dumped into that extremely crappy wrestling. I don't think Kurt Angle's forgotten about that, so I think Kurt Angle needs to basically be smart and stay away from them. I mean, if he goes back there, he's probably going to get buried big time, and no one's even going to remember him. So, enough said. Floria, let's move on.
And we are going to move on to my Tony's take, and I'm going to start this one off. Then we'll have the Mikey's Mindset, and then Derek's going to be in our main event with his independent scenes. So I'm going to start it off with Impact Wrestling, and I got some big news coming up about the future content of Impact Wrestling. Believe me, I mean, I just came across this, and oh man, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this goes down. But, all right. We started it with an in-ring segment. Our girl, Didi Woodson, Maria Kanellis Bennett, and her husband, Mike Bennett, they were in there, and they cut their usual heel promos, and then EC3 comes out, and then it also brings out Billy Corgan, and he came out, and Bobby Lashley. I mean, it was pretty much all around the world title picture. I mean, that's pretty much all this segment ever was, and so all I can say is this was a phenomenal segment. I really enjoyed this segment. I mean, they even threw in some Smashing Pumpkins references because, as you know, Billy Corgan is the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins. They brought up, EC3 brought up a line about melancholy and infinite sadness. Of course, their most successful album, of course, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, and I also brought up the hit song from that album, Tonight Tonight, and very enjoyed it. I mean, as a fan of the band, I appreciated the references by Corgan and EC3. I mean, Corgan did come off a little heelish by referring to himself as being an icon elsewhere, even if it is true. But then he also put Bennett in a match that he didn't want. I wish I could say that I was interested in Corgan's character. I'm a little torn on it right now. Part of me, a small part of me likes it, another part of me doesn't. But nevertheless, the segment was very effective in setting up the main event and setting the stage for Destination X. So, of course, Destination X is coming up on the 12th of this month, so I'm really looking forward to that. That's always fun. Trust me. Derek, Fletch, and I, we can tell you stories about how great those Destination X events were in the day. Trust me. Especially 2012, the best one ever. So, all right. Knockouts Championship match. We had Sienna going up against Gail Kim. Sienna wins the match in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. 1 to 1 1/4 stars. very disappointing match. I mean, I thought this thing could have been somewhat decent, but man, disappointingly short match. I mean, one of the worst of the night, no question about it. Then we had a Fact of Life segment. Now, the King of the Mountain champion, Eli Drake, he does this Fact of Life segment. I've never really been a fan of it. That was until this segment coming up. His guest was the Cowboy James Storm, and this was the best Drake talk show segment to date, thanks mostly to Storm. Drake's line about the fans booing water was a gem, and he did a nice job of playing the agitator, but Storm's bike work and popularity was the key. In fact, his line about how he could beat his ass someday was strong enough that they actually could have ended the segment there without any physicality, and it would have been fine. Storm was the star here, but I think they finally found someone who Drake had chemistry with. So, yeah, and I love that. And I love that little button that Drake pushes with a dummy, yeah. I mean, there are so many things you could do about that dummy yeah stuff. I mean, there's so many things I could do with that. But then we had another Hardy segment. Matt Hardy was in a wheelchair with his wife Rebby, and then Jeff Hardy comes out, and Matt said he needed one more match. He said, Jeff, give me 6 weeks to heal from the injuries from our cage match, and we will have one more match, and it will be an Armageddon match. And the winner of the match will control the Hardy name and the Hardy brand. And then Jeff accepts, and then Matt gets out of the wheelchair and just beats down Jeff. So it's not going to be for 6 weeks. It's going to be next. It's going to be on the next show, and it's going to be not in the Impact Zone. Oh no, it's going to be in their hometown of Cameron, North Carolina, at their estate. Wow, can't wait to see what happens there. And then from there, another one of the segments on the night, by the way. I mean, all the in-ring segments on this show were really good. I'm going to be real honest with you. X Division Battle Royal. I mean, you had Eddie Edwards, Trevor Lee, Andrew Everett, Rockstar Spud, Braxton Sutter, DJ Z, Mandrews. Winner of the Battle Royal and #1 contender for the X Division title, Braxton Sutter. So-so Battle Royal. I'll give it a couple stars for the effort. I mean, it was a so-so Battle Royal. And then Mike Bennett comes in and just actually, it was actually Gregory Shane Helms and his merry men, Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett. They beat down Braxton Sutter. Mike Bennett says, "Hey, let's have the match now." And Bennett obviously went over, retained his X Division championship. The Battle Royal, like I said, was a couple stars, like a 2-star match, maybe 2.25, maybe even 2.5. But this X Division match, yeah, it was an absolute dud. It was the worst fight of the night. I'm not even going to bother with it. Then we had a 6-man tag team match, the Tribunal. Al Snow, Baron Dax, Basile Baraka. I love that name, by the way, Basile Baraka. Going up against Grado, Mahabali Shera, and believe it or not, Tyrus. And the winners of the match, it was Tyrus, Mahabali Shera, and Grado, thanks to Tyrus. About 1.5 stars for that effort. I mean, okay match for what it was. And then the main event of the evening, triple threat match, TNA World Heavyweight Championship, Bobby Lashley, Drew Galloway, EC3. Winner of the match in 9 minutes and 10 seconds, and still TNA World Heavyweight Champion. It is the Destroyer, Bobby Lashley. Fight of the night, solid 3 stars. I was pleasantly surprised to see a clean finish to the match. I mean, TNA has been much better in that area this year, but with the 3 top guys in the company all in the same match, I really thought there was going to be a screwy BS finish that TNA is known for. Curious to see where they go with Lashley from here now that he's beaten Galloway in EC3, although I already know. I just found some interesting news. Early portion of the show was talk heavy, a lot of it, but like I said, the in-ring segment, those in-ring segments, those promo segments were all very good. Wish I could say the same about the matches, but the main event was the only really standout match for me. So I'm actually going to give this show I'm actually going to give it a 7 out of 10. The only reason why is because of the in-ring segments, especially that Fact of Life segment with Eli Drake and James Storm. That was really good, and then those other in-ring segments, and in that main event, though, 9 minutes and 10 seconds. But what we got in that 9 minutes and 10 seconds was all good stuff. So, what's coming up on the next edition of Impact Wrestling? That'll be on Tuesday night. Well, Dixie Carter is going to be back from her time off. And, well, Mike Bennett, you're going to defend your X Division Championship in an Ultimate X match. I'm not going to tell you who the opponents are. You're going to have to see it to believe it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not even going to give this away. But what I can tell you is there will be an Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship. And I believe there's going to be a King of the Mountain Championship match as well. Eli Drake's going to go up against James Storm. The Dollhouse feud continues. Jade and Marty Bell, they're going to have a street fight. An in-ring segment with Dixie Carter and Billy Corgan with Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis. That should be fun. A backstage segment with Bram and Rosemary. Okay. And then it's going to lead into a 6-person mixed tag team match. Raquel's going to wrestle. Her and the Bromance are going to go up against Rosemary and the Decay. And then the contract signing for the World Heavyweight, for the big main event of Destination X. We know it's going to be Bobby Lashley. He's going to defend against the X Division champion. And get this, friends. Both championships are on the line. The TNA World Heavyweight Championship and the X Division Championship. Bobby Lashley will be the World Heavyweight Champion. Who's going to be the X Division Champion? Is it going to be Mike Bennett? Is it going to be somebody else? Tune in Tuesday night at 9 on Pop Television, and we'll take it from there. So this is one Impact you do not want to miss, especially because you know how Michael Fletcher, Derek Ferrera, and I are about Ultimate X matches. That's another show right there. We could tell you stories about how great those Ultimate X matches were. Believe that. So, and like I said, I could tell you guys behind the scenes afterwards, but I'm not going to give it away here on the show. Or better yet, guys, read the spoilers that I just found. That's all there is to say. Now we're going to move on to SmackDown. Now, you said, okay, you guys are saying, all right, Floyo, you're going to say something that we never thought we'd hear you say about this show? Oh, yes. I saw the show last night on the USA Network, and I can honestly say it was the best show of 2016 so far. We started it off with a fatal 4-way match, number 1 contender for the United States Heavyweight Championship. Sheamus, Alberto Del Rio, Apollo Crews, Cesaro. Winner of the match, and number 1 contender, the Swiss Superman, Cesaro. Tap out victory. He submits Alberto Del Rio with the sharpshooter. 2.5 to 3 stars. This was a very, very good opening match. And how refreshing is it to see one of these shows start with an actual match instead of a 15 to 20 minute talking segment? That's another reason. I mean, solid opening match. A lot of action. They managed to keep a quick pace that kept our interest throughout. It had one of those tag match style breakdowns at the end to make the finish possible, but it followed logically from the way the match had been set up until that point. And the Rusev challenge after the match is very good heel work. And then it leads right into the U.S. Heavyweight Championship match. Cesaro challenging Rusev. Winner of the match, and still United States Heavyweight Champion, it was Rusev. Again, I say, another 2.5 to 3 star match. Better match than I was expecting coming out of the injury angle. I thought it was going to be a dud or a squash. Cesaro got in more offense than I expected and looked very strong in defeat. On top of that, Rusev gets heel cred for taking advantage of the injury and focusing on the shoulder and the ribs. A Cesaro-Rusev feud would be a welcome change compared to Titus O'Neil, who Rusev will defend the United States Heavyweight Championship against this Monday night as part of the 4th of July edition of Monday Night Raw in Columbus, Ohio. First of 2 women's matches. Dana Brooke going up against a newcomer by the name of Billie Kay. Now, for those of you who don't know, Billie Kay, you've seen her from time to time on NXT. Beautiful brunette from Australia. Of course, Dana Brooke won the match. honestly, I was expecting this to be an absolute dud. I thought this was going to be a showcase for Dana Brooke. No, this was not. 1.5 to 2 stars. Billie Kay looked very good in her first match. It was a revelatory performance, but she held her own and got more offense than what I thought was going to be a squash match. Dana continues to improve, but she still needs to find a character. Right now, she's just Charlotte's annoying friend at this point, hence the comparison to Lay Cool. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Then we had the Miz TV segment with the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, The Miz, and the WWE Champion, Dean Ambrose. Of course, by default, segment of the night, because this was really the only in-ring segment we had on the show. I mean, it was an okay segment, but I'm not really interested in Ambrose and Miz. People perhaps are trying to build up Miz for a more prominent role post-brand split, because otherwise this feels like a diversion from Ambrose's main program, which of course is Rollins and Reigns. Then we had the Wyatt family going up against a couple of Hammerneger Jabroni jobbers. That was an absolute dud. That was the worst fight of the night. But then the New Day appeared. Well, actually, this was a second in-ring segment, and this was good too. Xavier Woods continues to be the only member of New Day taking the Wyatt threat seriously. I wonder what it will take to get Big E and Kofi to get it. Second women's match, we had Sasha Banks, the boss, going up against Summer Rae. Winner of the match, of course, it was Sasha Banks with the Banks statement. I actually thought this women's match was actually a little better than the one with Billie Kay and Dana Brooke, even though I liked that match too. This was a good 2 to 2.25 star match. An enjoyable match. I liked it more than Dana and Billie earlier, but it didn't quite have as much energy as I hoped. Both were very competent in the ring and both have charisma and swagger, but neither had the intensity that we saw from Becky Lynch when she attacked Natalya on Raw. I was hoping to see some of that here, and it never came. But other than that, 2 to 2.25 stars. And then main event, champion versus champion, Dean Ambrose going up against The Miz. Of course, and it was Dean Ambrose who picked up the win via the Dirty Deeds. Fight of the night, 3.25 to 3.5 stars. And what else is there for me to say except this was an entertaining show. So entertaining that I'm going to give it a rating that, this is a rating I've hardly ever given a SmackDown show, but I'm going to be real honest with you. 8 to 8.5 out of 10. Very entertaining show. Best SmackDown show of 2016 I've seen so far. Even though none of the main storylines really got a boost on this show, and it does follow a predictable pattern for SmackDown where the shows are often engaging, but without any long-term consequence. Miz and Ambrose gave us a very entertaining main event, and there was not a ton of filler on this show. There wasn't even a Make Darren Young Great Again video this week, which had been the only real filler moment on previous shows. I am hoping that the brand split will energize SmackDown because the show has not been bad lately, aside from suffering for low stakes for most of the action. But like I said, the only thing that's really skippable on this show was, of course, that Wyatt squash. But other than this, I mean, this is a show you gotta go back and watch. If you have the Universal HD channel on your cable or whatever you have, sometime tomorrow night, I strongly suggest you watch this show. Like I said, it's not often I recommend a SmackDown, but you got to watch this show. Like I said, this was an 8 to 8.5 out of 10. Very good show. Best show of the year I've seen so far. All the matches were solid to good to great. Well done. Hopefully this is a harbinger of things to come. So with all that being said, Michael Fletcher, are you ready for your Mikey's Mindset?
Yeah, this time around it's gonna be a very little Mikey's Mindset. As you saw on the Facebook page, I'm only gonna be covering NXT. Well, actually, no, not NXT. I'm definitely gonna be covering more on the grounds of Lucha Underground, and unfortunately, I don't have no RWA news. However, if you go to the RWA Facebook page right now, they're actually taking a poll, you guys, of what matches you would like to see at the Summertime Showdown that's coming up in mid-July on from the RWA Chop Shop in Providence, Rhode Island. So we'll give you guys that very well. And now I'm going to get into that, Anthony. Don't worry. I'm definitely going to get into that. So here we go. So we started the show off with see. Okay, so we started the show off as it was King Cuerno going one-on-one with the man of 1,000 deaths, Mil Muertes, with the beautiful Katrina in the corner. The winner of the bout at 4 minutes and 28 seconds, it was King Cuerno. He beats Mil Muertes with a shocking. That was kind of one of the biggest upsets of the Lucha Underground season. 2.5 stars is the rating I would give for that fight. I thought it was really good. Then we have Prince Puma versus Dragon Azteca Jr. with Rey Mysterio in the corner. And this fight ended in 8 minutes and 39 seconds with Prince Puma winning the match. And this was an amazing fight. It was a 3.5-star fight for me. I thought this was a great match. Back and forth, definitely a lot of high spots to say the very least. And this was amazing as well. And our main event for this show, it was Johnny Mundo versus Phoenix, and Johnny Mundo wins it at 7 minutes and 53 seconds. Another 3.25-star fight. There was a little bit of some interference. Dalia Vicarin decided to stick her nose where it kind of didn't really belong, but the beautiful Canadian. How are you gonna say no to her? I mean, what the hell? So definitely a very good match, no doubt about it. However, now we are going to get into something really explosive, Anthony. The next 3 shows that we're going to get starts this Wednesday night, and then 2 weeks, and then we're going to have it for the next 3 weeks. The final 3 shows of the season is Ultimo Lucha 2. That's right. Ultimo Lucha is their WrestleMania. This is their finale. This is their biggest event of the year. It was so big that they're going to break it into 3 one-hour specials. So, let me run down the entire card for you guys. We have a unique opportunity. It's going to be Cage versus the Map versus the Son of Havoc versus Tejano. That the winner of the match will get a special privilege, a special prize by Dario Cueto himself. What could that be? You're just going to have to wait and find out what can happen there. In a dream match, it's going to be Prince Puma going one-on-one with Rey Mysterio. We got the Black Lotus. She's making her Lucha Underground debut. She's going up against Dragon Azteca Jr. Now, there's a little bit of a backstory about this. And what it is Black Lotus, her father was murdered. And basically, according to Dario Cueto, he's saying that Dragon Azteca Jr. was the reason why your father was dead. So he's basically manipulating her, saying, I think you can get your revenge on him. She's not too sure about it. She's a little apprehensive. I think she's thinking in the back of her mind that maybe Dario Cueto might have had something to do with it. We don't know. We'll wait and find out there. Now, are you ready for some amazing women's action? I hope you are. Eva Lise goes one-on-one with Dalia Vicarin to find out who is the baddest woman in Lucha Underground. This is basically one of those big fights. In a death match. That's right, I said it. In a death match. The man of 1,000 deaths, Mil Muertes, goes one-on-one with King Cuerno. Now, this has been a rivalry that's been going on for months. And now, in the biggest event of the year, this will settle it once and for all. Then, we got a Gift of the Gods championship fight. Draga, Killshot, Marty the Moth, Mariposa, Nightclaw, Sexy Star, and Zorrito de la Muerte. They're all going to fight. It is basically one fall to a finish. The first to get a pinfall or submission is declared the winner and will get the Gift of the Gods belt when you get the gift of the gods, it is the equivalent of the money in the bank. You can cash that in anytime, any place, anywhere for an opportunity at the Lucha Underground Championship. Plus, we also have for the Trios Championship, Jack Evans, Johnny Mundo, and PJ Black to put the titles on the line against Aerostar, Drago, and Phoenix. And that is for the title. And in the main event of Ultimo Lucha 2 for the Lucha Underground World Title, the monster Matanza Puerto will put the title on the line against Pentagon Jr. Now we know Dario Cueto will be in the corner of Matanza Cueto, but is Vampiro gonna be in the corner of Pentagon Jr.? Because Pentagon Jr. talks about a higher power, that there's a master. That master was Vampiro. Now, Vampiro does commentary with Matt Striker on the show. However, Dario Cueto actually kind of tried to ruffle the feathers a little bit and almost in a way tried to almost goat Vampiro, saying, watch what my brother is going to do to what he was going to do to Pentagon Jr. He destroyed him. He broke his will, broke his back, and left them basically lying for dead. Vampiro shows up and basically shows that killer instinct, trying to beat Pentagon Jr. to the point that he didn't feel that pain anymore. When he came back, he broke the arm of Chavo Guerrero Jr. and became the man to get a shot at the belt. He has made it very clear. The one thing he wants to do is he does not want to win the Lucha Underground title. No, he wants to break the arm of Matanza Cueto. And now, in the biggest match of the biggest event of Lucha Underground, this could be the moment Pentagon Jr. has been waiting for. Can he do it? Will he find a way to capture the title in Boyle Heights? Or will the reign of Matanza Cueto continue as Lucha Underground champion? We're going to break this in 3 parts. We don't know how these matches are going to break down. But one thing is for sure. Get ready for an amazing 3 weeks that's going to end for the Lucha Underground season. And I'm going to be so disappointed. I'm going to be so heartbroken when this season ends. But they've already confirmed the season 3. We'll get that possibly in January, because that's how they've done it in the past, January or February. But one thing is for sure, folks. Get ready for an amazing ride, and one that I know I will never forget. It's time to go into the independent scene. So with that said, Derek Ferrero, what do you got, my friend?
All right, so here's how I'm going to break this down. New Japan Pro Wrestling first. And some major news that happened with Beyond Wrestling, but I will also give you results from last weekend, a Beyond Wrestling show that happened in Somerville, Massachusetts. There's another show coming up, I believe, in 2 weeks. And then, of course, the big show, July 31st, which is going to be the big news that I'm going to be dropping. So let's talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan Pro Wrestling recently announced the G1 Climax tournament. Now, this is a tournament that is going to happen July 18th through August 14th. Now, remember, there's another tournament that they're going to be doing sometime in August. I believe it is the Super J Cup. I will get into that in a few weeks' time, which is a duration of independent promotions from around the world, including Ring of Honor. This is something that's kind of going to be like the Cruiserweight Classic, and that's something that in a few weeks' time we're going to get into the Cruiserweight Classic, because I already got spoilers for that, and that is wow. It's going to be a crazy couple of months if you're into the Cruiserweight Classic, especially with some of the names that are in from Evolve and Beyond Wrestling. So there's 2 blocks to this G1 Climax tournament, and I'll explain it quickly for those that don't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. You have a set of block of wrestlers, and there's going to be a set of matches that happen between July 18th, which is the start of this tournament, through August 14th. So this is like a tour of New Japan Pro Wrestling. They tour around Tokyo. Now, whoever has the most points in this block goes on to the final. So there's only one wrestler from each block that will advance. Aside the fact that this is a New Japan Pro Wrestling squad that's in this, there's actually 2 wrestlers from Pro Wrestling Noah, which is another wrestling promotion in Japan. I believe they do have a working agreement with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So let's get into Block A. And oops, I just lost my notes for a moment. So Block A, here we go, has Bad Luck Fale, who represents the Bullet Club. Hiroki Goto, who represents Chaos. You have Tomohiro Ishii, another member of Chaos. Satoshi Kojima. Toji Makabe. Now, one of the wrestlers from Pro Wrestling Noah that is going to be in this is Nadamichi Mayafuji. Now, let me explain about what he's done in Japan. He has wrestled for New Japan Pro Wrestling. He was actually the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion over there one time. He did win the Super J Cup in 2004 and 2009. And he was also... he won the bet. Well, they gave him the tag team bout of the year in Japan in 2003 with him and Kodorata Suzuki against Jushin Liger and Koji Kemato. And he's done a lot in Pro Wrestling Noah. He was a 3-time GHC heavyweight champion. He won the junior heavyweight championship over there one time. 2-time junior heavyweight tag team champion with Kento, or as we all know, WWE fans, the returning Hideo Itami, and Azushi Aoki. He won the Open... Pro Wrestling Noah actually has a hardcore division over there, and he was the openweight hardcore champion over there, and he actually won... He's currently the tag team champions over there, with Toa Yano, who was also part of Chaos as well. But he also won that with Manuki Suzuki and Takeishi Sayaguya. And that's pretty much it when it comes to championships. And then, of course, you got the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Okada, is in this group. Sanaya, TNA fans out there who... I have said when I've done my videos, Sanaya to me has really improved over there in Japan ever since he became a member of Los Ingolables. So he's going to be in this group. And get this, Okada's rival, Hiroshi Tanahashi, is in this group. Oh my goodness. That is going to be a match, I mean, a rivalry renewed. And then you got Tamatanga, part of the Bullet Club. Block B will have Michael Elgin from Ring of Honor. He's the only ROH. No, actually, he's New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's not with ROH anymore. Evil, who's part of Los Angelables of Japan. You got Tomoyoki Hama, the big underdog over there. I call him the underdog. The Daniel Bryan of Japan, because he has that big underdog role. Tetsuya Nato, the leader of Los Angelables. Another wrestler from Pro Wrestling Noah. And I just lost my notes again. Shoot. And Katsushio Nakajima. So quickly on Nakajima, if he does have some championship experience over there in Japan, he actually does. Big in All Japan Pro Wrestling, which is the rival promotion over there in Japan. Held the All Asia Tag Team Championship with Kensui Sasaki, big name here in the States. We all remember from WCW. He won the World Junior Heavyweight Championship one time, Junior Tag League in 2008 with Radajuchi Hakakaya. And in Pro Wrestling Noah, he actually won the Junior Heavyweight Championship 3 times. And in New Japan Pro Wrestling, won the Yoku 6-man tag team tournament with Blue Wolf and WWE superstar, well, NXT superstar, Shinsuke Nakamura in 2004. And that's just about it. Won the New Wave Award as well in 2004. And we got Yuji Nagata in there as well. Kenny Omega, leader of the Bullet Club. Katsuya Shibata, who is going to renew his rivalry with Nagata, at least for this one time in this competition. But the match I'm kind of looking forward to is Kenny Omega and Shibata. Toru Yano, and then Yoshihashi. Those last 2 names I did mention are part of the Chaos group. Yoshihashi, by the way, recently got the biggest win of his career in a match. I believe it was Bushi and I think it was Bushi and Sanaya. It was at Dominion just 2 weeks ago. So that is your G1 Climax participants for this 2016. Of course, whoever wins this gets the chance to go up against whoever the IWGP Heavyweight Champion is going to be at Wrestle Kingdom in January. We all know Japan's WrestleMania. And I'm hoping we get an English commentary with this show, because the show that we had 2 weeks ago, Dominion, did not have English commentary. Honestly, I was kind of disappointed about that, because that is a big show in Japan, but I think they're going to save that for the G1 Climax final, because that is a big show as well. Now let's get to Beyond Wrestling. Some results from Somerville, Massachusetts. Of course, like I said last week, they called it Ripped of the Prime. And we had a steel cage match, win only by knockout or submission. Matt Riddle defeated Chuck Cold Steel O'Neil in a match that they called a Rivalry Renewed. Dave Cole defeated Anthony Stone. Snap the Streak. Brian Fury defeated Shook D. Guy can't get a break in Beyond Wrestling, Shook D. I mean, he comes out with these videos, but can't win the match. And then we had a 10-man tag team match, Crusade for a Change, which one of the members of the IWA, Devin Blaze, is part of that team, defeated Team House of Glory. We had a Haas fight, John Silver going up against Keith Lee. John Silver won that match. First time ever, Tommaso Ciampa defeated David Starr. We had a Women's Wrestling Revolution showcase. Joanne Grace defeating Taylor Hendricks. 6-man tag team match. You had Scarlett and Graves defeating Team Frazuo. First time in the United States, Jonathan Gresham defeated Zack Sabre Jr. I'll get more into that rivalry in just a bit. And then the main event, Death by Elbow defeated Chris Dickerson and Donovan Dijak. That was your main event of the night. Now, the next show, and let me go on their Facebook page quickly, is going to be in Melrose, Massachusetts. I believe it's in July 17th, so 2 weeks from, almost 2 weeks from now. And here is the first of two big news that I'm going to break. That is going to open for a big show with Evolve. So that is a doubleheader show. Beyond Wrestling opens first, and then the main event, Evolve, is going to be part of that show. So if you're in that area, and I believe that is, I'll give you the place. It's at the Melrose Memorial Hall, 590 Main Street, Melrose, Massachusetts. Tickets are still available for that show. I do have the prices for the tickets. $40 if you want the reserve seating on the stage. $30 for the standing room on the floor. And the general admission will be $20, the bleacher seats. So I do know some of the matches on that card. Scheduled to compete at this show, Chris Dickerson, JT Dunn. We have another Women's Wrestling Revolution bout. Lufisto going up against Vader Scott. 6-man tag team match. Team TF T4. That's the Hit Squad. Hit Squad's going to be in this. Going up against Team Frazuo. Tommaso Ciampa goes up against Matt Riddle. And the main event of that show, they're going at it for a second time. Zack Sabre Jr. against Jonathan Gresham. I'm going to say it right now. Zack Sabre is winning that match. Because they're also going to be fighting 2 weeks later. But let's get on to what happened in Providence. Another doubleheader. July 31st. In fact, tickets went on sale yesterday. I got the tickets. Big announcement, Derek. I am going to not just that Women's Wrestling Revolution show, but Beyond Wrestling is coming back to Fede Music. We're coming back home. Maybe for one night only. For the biggest show of the year. Americana 2016. Their version of WrestleMania. But let's talk about Women's Wrestling Revolution. That show is going to be a 1 o'clock show. Only 2 matches have been announced, but scheduled to compete as of right now, pending any injuries. Candice LeRae, she's going to be coming back to Rhode Island. Jody Ann Grace will be on that show as well. My favorite, Kimberly, will be wrestling at that show. In fact, she's going to be at that Beyond Wrestling show. Lufisto, who we just mentioned about. Mia Yim, I believe, who was part of the Dollhouse, will also be there as well. And then you got Taylor Hendricks. 2 matches have only been scheduled for that event. You got Jessica Havoc, yes, formerly of TNA Wrestling, former Knockouts champion, going up against Vader Scott. Big question is, we know we've seen her in TNA, but in the Indies, she channels her own Finn Balor. Is she going to bring out the Joker War Paint? Is she going to bring out Harley Quinn? we're going to have to wait and see July 31st. And then the main event, Santana Garrett going up against Bobby Hayden as well. So that's the two matches that have been announced. Now let's get to America Rana. Let me get that card up quickly. And America Rana, biggest show for Beyond Wrestling. You got the Strong Style Squad going up against Crusade for Change, 10-man tag team match. Breakout Stars Showdown, Matt Riddle going up against John Silver. A match that they call Please Come Back. AR Fox going up against Matt Tremont. A Haas fight, Brian Cage against Keith Lee. 1 year in the making, Johnny Gargano, who's also in NXT, we all know, part of that Cruiserweight Classic as well, going up against David Starr. Battle of New England, Tommaso Ciampa going up against Brian Fury. We got a 6-man tag team match. Catchpoint, TJ Perkins, Drew Gulak, and Tracy Williams going up against Team Purzuo. First time ever, and I was talking about her just moments ago, Kimberly. Oh, she's going up against Cassius Ohno, Chris Hero. That, my friends, is going to be a 5-star classic. You heard it here first. Big question is Kimberly going to do something crazy like she did last time at Fede? Doing like a 15-foot high-risk maneuver. The third encounter. The last encounter between these two. Zack Sabre Jr. against Jonathan Gresham. And the main event. Who is going to be the king of Beyond Wrestling? Chris Dickerson, Donovan Dijak, JT Dunn. Triple threat match. We know they've had beef. That is going to be a match. Rivalries renewed. You know that's going to be a 5-star classic right there. And I just actually pulled up for this for all you wrestling fans out there that I don't know. I know you guys know about this. I don't know if D.D. Woodson knows about this. July 23rd, there is going to be a wrestling show at McCoy Stadium in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, called Big Time Wrestling. I don't know much about Big Time Wrestling. I've looked them up online. And this is actually pretty interesting over here, because what they're going to do before the show, which is 8 o'clock, this weather permitting, let's just say it like that, you get a meet and greet. So you get, according to what they say over here, Big Time Wrestling features some of the top names in the sport, led by, get this, and you get to meet him, July 23rd. I'm getting goosebumps. The Icon, the Vigilante, WWE Hall of Famer, Sting. Yes, you get a meet and greet, you get a photo op with him. I believe you got to pay some money for the photo ops. You get to meet the Stinger. The total package. Lex Luger will be there. The Sandman, for original ECW wrestling fans out there. Raven. Gangrel. Hornswoggle. That's some of the names that you get to meet over there. Big Time Wrestling, I believe their heavyweight champion is Flex Armstrong. Other wrestlers apparent is Bam Shaw, Teddy Goods, Danny Miles, Greg Coster, and a name that I'm familiar with here, Brutal Bob Evans. Yes, Brutal Bob Evans actually does wrestle for this promotion. And the Patriot. Yes, for all those old school WWF wrestling fans out there, the Patriot is going to be there. So, Big Time Wrestling. Ooh. Here we go. I actually pulled this up as well. Yes, Sting, like I said, Sting is going to be there. Here's some of the matches that is going to happen on this card. Damien Sandow is going to go up against Matt Hardy. McCoy Stadium, there's going to be some hardcore at McCoy Stadium because Sabu is going to go up against Rhino in an Extreme Rules matchup. Go figure. You're going to see some blood. You're going to see some violence at McCoy Stadium. The Raven and Sandman is going to be in tag team action. We all know about their rivalry at ECW. Lex Luger will be there. Teddy Long, who is the going to be the guest BTW commissioner. Okay. Flex Armstrong goes up against Eddie Edwards and Gangrel. And I do have the photo ops. You get the Scorpion Deathlock package for $200. You get 5 items autographed by Sting, and you get a photo op with Sting. You get $100. One item autographed by Sting, and you get the photo op. Sting additional autographs are $40. Aaron Stevens, a.k.a. Damien Sandow, that's a $40 combo. You get an autograph, and you get a photo op. Teddy Long, you get a photo op with him. I believe that's $30. Lex Luger, photo op with him, $30. And Gangrel, $30 for that. So, yeah, order those tickets because, man, I mean, how cool is it going to be to meet the Stinger? How cool is that, man? Yeah, it is. It's just awesome to do that. I know Comic-Con, God, I don't know how much they charge for their photo ops, but I do know a lot of these independent guys, well, wrestlers in the independents, they do charge a lot of, well, former WWE wrestlers, they do charge a ton of money. Well, not a ton of money, but money up there, and it's basically, like I said, you know, really to pay their plane ticket and appearance. There's, like, some contract obligation as well, so that is the independent scene. I mean, I had to bring up that Big Time Wrestling show because, you know, that's McCoy Stadium right there. That's going to be a great night. Let's just hope weather permitting. I mean, yeah, we've had a dry month here in Rhode Island, but, you know, anything could change in the month of July. I mean, we had rain here today, so that's it for the independent scene this week. So let's just end this show.
Yeah, that Big Time Wrestling show on July 23rd, I mean, that would be one heck of a Wrestling Forum reunion if we could all find our way to that. I mean, I'll tell you. I mean, that would be so cool if we could do that. I mean, but we'd have to have the money and the resources to pull that off. So, but man, great information there, Derek, indeed. So, yeah, let's put the ball on this edition of the Wrestling Forum. Now, do you want to do shout-outs or do you, or what? What do you think?
Well, I do have that breaking news that I want to talk about with Strictly Sports. So
Oh yes.
All right.
Yes. So now I told you all earlier on that that Derek had some interesting news about not just the future content of Strictly Sports, which we're all very excited about, but Also, he's also got some news for you on a brand new segment that he and I talked about last night around this time. We had a Facebook comment chat, and we both agreed that we're going to debut a brand new segment on Strictly Sports in 3 weeks' time. So Derek, I give it back to you.
All right. So first and foremost, I know a lot of people wanted to see Strictly Sports tonight, but it made sense to do a Wrestling Forum show tonight, mainly because of the holiday, Monday, 4th of July. We're not going to do a Monday Night Raw review. Like we always say, we all have lives outside of YouTube. 4th of July, to spend time with your families, forget about the wrestling for at least one day. I mean, we do live in a DVR technology world, so I know there was a lot of crazy stuff that's happened this week in sports. God, free agency, of course, Messi missing the penalty kick. Everyone's been talking about that. Him retiring. Of course, England losing the Euros to Iceland. I'll be honest. This would have been a mega docket for Strictly Sports tonight, but we had to do the Wrestling Forum. The next time that we're going to do these Friday shows is probably going to be in August, because that's really right around the time when sports does get indeed boring, but you also have the Olympics in a couple of weeks' time, so I don't know if we're going to do this. We'll probably do something in August before we actually get into the Football Friday, the NFL Football Friday, because that comes up in 2 months' time. So what happened was, with all the, like I said, all the stuff that has happened today in the NHL and the NBA, I know a lot of people wanted to talk about what was happening today and what was going to happen within these next 7 days. What happened was, months ago, I actually put the UFC 200 on the docket. So next Friday night, it's all going to be about UFC 200. And why? Because it is a big show. It's the biggest UFC show. We have to talk about it. We have to break down every nook and cranny of UFC 200. So next Friday night, UFC 200, no power rankings. 2 weeks from tonight, we'll get into free agency. We'll get into the NHL. We'll get into the NBA. Also, as a tradition that we do here on Strictly Sports, is we got to talk about the Home Run Derby. We got to talk about the All-Star Game. And we got to talk about the ESPYs. No power rankings. We've never done a power rankings during All-Star break. We're never doing a power rankings during that time. Simple as that. The 22nd, we got Derek TV. Derek TV will be back on July 22nd. I'm not going to be able to be at the July 15th show. I have prior commitments that night. So Derek TV not only comes back, where I'll talk about UFC 200, I am debuting a new segment called Sports Tech. Why? 48 hours ago, 2 bombshell news came out. First, we all know about NBCSN. We all know it is available online through PlayStation Vue. Breaking news, Sling TV has now got NBCSN. Not only that, USA Network, Sci-Fi, all the channels from the NBC networks is on Sling TV. I'll talk about that, and it's actually a great opportunity because I will be checking this out in the next couple of weeks and looking at all the other stuff. Second big news that came out, NFL Sunday Ticket has never been online. We have MLB TV. We have NBA League Pass. We have NHL Ice. We have MLS. They all have online subscription services. The NFL doesn't. Yes, they did get the NBC Universal package. There was a dirt sheet that came out, and Hulu. Now Hulu, I'll tell you about Hulu just quickly. They're coming out with an online subscription service in 2017. There's talk that they're going to try to buy out the NFL net. They're going to try to get the Sunday ticket for 2017. However, AT&T, who owns DirecTV, they're actually going to come out with an online subscription service in the fall. So, a lot of stuff is coming out about this. I mean, if you don't have cable, and let me just say it like this. With this sports tech segment, you know how CM Punk was the voice of the voiceless? I'm going to be the voice of the voiceless when it comes to cord cutting. Because I'm telling you right now, this is going to end the cable industry and the satellite industry as we know it. They're done. If you have Verizon, if you have Cox, if you have DirecTV, Dish Network, say bye-bye to those cable subscriptions, those $120 a month that you pay. In fact, you know what? Those days are over. Get something cheap. Get something that you can put on your smart TV. Anything. Because I'm going to break that news, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that in a couple of weeks. So, Sports Tech, a new segment, and whatever sports thing comes out in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to break it. So, that's what's going to happen for Strictly Sports the next couple of weeks. I already released the docket for you. So, let's just do, you guys want to do shout-outs?
What do you guys think? I mean, we don't have to.
I said let's just close the show. I think we pretty much overloaded everybody here tonight.
Yeah.
Let's just do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Tonight, set up for the next show.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, so that's going to put the ball on this very long special edition, this hybrid edition of the Wrestling Forum, if you will. But, yeah, I mean, so remember, no Wrestling Forum Monday night. We're going to enjoy the 4th of July. We'll next be with you next Friday night, July 8th. That's our next broadcast. That's going to be for Strictly Sports, all about UFC 200. Our next Wrestling Forum show will be on Monday, July 11th. That's when we'll be back with you for the Wrestling Forum. We'll go back to our Raw review, and that's going to be the last time we'll do the Raw review along with the Tony's Take, where I do the Impact Wrestling and SmackDown review, and that Monday will also be the last Mikey's Mindset on the Monday night, because then that's when we do the big shows after that. So that's when we'll be back with you for the Wrestling Forum, and then the Strictly Sports on the 15th, and then we'll go from there. So, all right. So with all that being said, I want to thank you all so very much for tuning in, and of course, we want to definitely take this time and wish all of you out there a very safe and happy 4th of July weekend. Don't act like any idiot Dinkelbergs out there, because if I hear anything about that, I swear to God, I will go off. I mean, we've had enough problems in this world as it is this year. A lot of BS, so I'm just going to leave it at that. So yes. But before we go, what we're going to do, of course, let me just wrap it up by saying this. We're going to have one final goodbye. The legendary Buddy Ryan, who passed away. And so that's it for that. 85 years old, gone but never forgotten. And then from there, our other goodbye, the trailblazer, the pioneer, Pat Summitt. So we're going to enjoy this time off. We really need it. We need to recharge the batteries. And so until next Friday night for Strictly Sports, it's Anthony Florio here for Michael Fletcher, for Michael Bullock, for Didi Woodson, and of course Derek Ferreira. Awesome job tonight, everybody. And of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. But for now, my friends, God bless. Be good to each other. Cannot stress that enough, especially with this holiday weekend. And safe and happy 4th of July to everybody out here, and of course you guys as well. And until next Friday night for Strictly Sports, you've been watching this special hybrid edition of the Wrestling Forum right here on Zone 25 on YouTube.com. And to Buddy Ryan and Pat Summitt, thank you for the memories, thank you for the inspiration, and thank you for Pat Summitt and Buddy Ryan. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. Good night, everybody.